Най-голямото събитие в Fortnite, което се случва всяка година, е Global Championship. Този ивент е на 2 дни, вчера беше първият ден, а днес е втория ден и хората, които плейснат на първо място на това събитие, взимат по $150,000 всеки. Но всъщност какво представлява това събитие? Най-добрите 33 триота отиват там, като от всеки регион се класират хора. Като от Европа се класират 11 тима, NA Central 7, OC и другите региони се класират по 3 тима. Но как всъщност се класирали? Просто през всеки Grand Finals в 2025 от първия до третия. Всеки път се класираха тимове, които бяха най-отгоре. Примерно в Европа първия FNC с 3, във втория 5 и в третия 3. В NA Central беше първите 2 тима, после 3 тима и накрая пак 2. И в другите региони бяха само по един тим във всеки FNCS. Също ако се кефите на това, което правя, може да използвате SAC Ivcho в Item Shop, така помагате изключително много на мен на канала Бърза Което. Или просто може да гледате Моите напълно, като напишете Ivcho в търсачката и виждате мапа ми. А случайно ако сте по-ефтини в бъкс, Minecraft спелвам аккаунт тип Crew, ако е по-ефтино и всякакви неща, може да посетите сайта на Тега, също така като си купите някакви неща, да кликате на ключката, въведете код, пишете Ivcho и имате 5% отстъпка. Но сега без повече приказки, нека започваме с самите игри, защото те бяха уникални. Също така ще оставят всички игри, така че ако искате да скикнете до EndGame, ще оставят таймлапсове, за да ви е по-лесно. Това най-дясно беше Фирс, гайс. Типичен българен. Този човек от ляво стои съвсем в байнове.
While being up-and-comers throughout the year, they've certainly proved they can shake up EU lobbies, but can they do it on land too? It's none other than Victor V, Paper and Epic Whale, fan favorites of the NA West region, but also heavy hitters in this competition. It is time to lock it in. From Brazil, Gazzetta Way and Scarpa, the major three qualifiers are now ready to take the fight on the international stage and show them how lethal their region can be. A few household names of the NA region, it's Canada and Bolts. This weekend, they'll have to come together to face off against the toughest competitor in the world. Coming in hot, Seti, Yapko, and Panzer. After switching up ahead of Major 3, these guys displayed instant chemistry making their way to Globals. Now the real test starts. Malor, Mansour, and Adapter have touched down in France. This Middle Eastern trio is not to be underrated, and they'll make sure to leave their mark on the lobby this weekend. The Wonders from Down Under, Anon, Alex, and Razan.
Алекс, брат.
Dominating here on OCE.
Те какво ще направят? OCE тима.
Watch out, these guys mean business.
Let's go, bro. Minimum top 5.
Is going to be your first LAN, Curly, but luckily you have some very experienced players with you. Reet, and of course, a former global champion in Cooper. What has this experience been like so far for you?
I mean, playing with the global championship winner has it's meant a lot to me. I mean, I'm playing with an official winner here. It's been a great experience so far. Yeah.
And Cooper, you've chosen to play
Предикта ми
with
някой
these
трябва да
guys.
направи.
What's so special about this team?
I think Curly has a lot of potential. I think what Mero saw in me, I see in him. So I think he's going to be great in the future, a great prospect. I think he's going to be really good.
And how do you feel about your chances of taking back the crown?
Това, което Миро е видял в него, Купър видял в Curly, брат. Да,
Quickly, very quickly, Reet, we've got to have some more positive words about winning.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're gonna win. I'm excited. I'm excited to go out here and play and do our best, give it a shot.
Bien sûr, let's head to Benji.
Et oui, Frankie, je suis avec un nouveau trio. Les amis, Lyon, s'il vous plaît, du bruit pour Bolts, Rapide et Canada. Ooh la 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 la. Canada, how do you feel, man? I'm feeling amazing. I love France, baby. Let's go! Come on! Let's go! You're the GOAT that you think you are. Thank you, Canada. You have this experience from big stage like today, but today it's different because of huge French atmosphere. Do you think you can handle the pressure? Pressure's all I need. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to win. Let's go, baby! Make some noise from Canada! And now, back to you, Frank.
Thank you. I had to find Asia's Acorn. You've been to many of these courses.
Аре, момчета!
How does this one compare so far?
This is like nothing I've ever seen. This is the craziest land ever.
And how do you keep your focus in game leading these guys when the crowd is so loud?
We're locked in, we're ready to win, and we're going to bring it home for M8.
And you're going to bring it home for America potentially. Poyo, you could do the back-to-back here in France in front of so many fans. What would that mean?
I mean a lot. I mean, I can barely even hear you right now, so yeah.
Do you have anything to say to the fans?
Thank you for being here. That's important.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. Good luck today, guys. We need to meet some more teams.
It's your boys, King, Phaser, and P8 Sin. After tearing up both Brazilian and NA lobbies throughout the year, they're here to wrap up the competition in style.
Say hello to Vortex, Mountain, and Goofy. Making it to Lyon was
Vortex,
no
брат.
easy feat,
Той е
but
много
these
слаб,
guys
как
are
е
coming in
по...
with lots of motivation to win it
По си,
all.
брат. Този регион е фул траш.
Put your hands together for Pars, Pump, and Baka. NA West did not stand a chance against these guys this year. The question is if they can keep the same pressure in this lobby.
Better late than never. Ivcho, Cammy, and Honey have made it to France. And with globals on the line, there's no time to waste. They're here to crush the competition for real.
The pride of Middle East, Hero, Halad, and FKS. Proving their worth throughout the year is tough, but proving it on the global stage is even tougher. It's time to lock in, boys.
Пах му и трофея, бате. Ау, кликс, кикс и елмото.
Going home empty-handed just isn't an option. And with the trophy directly in sight, these guys are bringing their A game.
Get loud from Murum, Wixie, and Buyuriru. Qualifying for Major 3 was just the start. With their eyes on the prize, they look to take the trophy home.
Mix and focus and Upple in the building, everybody. And this trio's talent has brought them so far already. But it's time to go the distance. Let's see what they've got.
Walking in now, Art School and Salco, all the way from NA West with a major win. They're looking to bring their domination all the way to the global stage.
Give it up for Yuma, Toyota, and Rise. After dominating Asia this year,
Toyota.
now they're ready to prove that they've got what it takes to win it all at the
Виж, ще
international
спечелят
level.
олспауните.
Ladies and gentlemen, Furious, Fire, and Pixie with a strong home crowd behind them today. These guys are destined to go all the way. Pressure has never been higher.
Минимум топ 5. Топ 7.
So, obviously, I had to come and keep the seat warm for Vanya Boo Boo because I know there are a lot of fans here in France who cannot wait to meet this team. Here they come. Pixie in front. I know we have some Havoc fans here in Lyon. Pixie, you've been to many of these global lands. How great is it to know you have Havoc fans waiting to see you play?
It's amazing. It's the best ever.
And I know that you're going to put on a show for them. Let's come over here then.
Помниш ли с кой си взел първия пиар?
I know that Germany loves you, but now France loves you too. What's that like?
Ами Ivcho, не знам
It's amazing, bro. It's amazing. It's such a good feeling.
I can imagine. And Vanya. They call you Vanya Boo Boo. You spent a lot of time with the fans. What would you like to say to them here in France? Sometimes actions speak louder than words, which is why I'm gonna say, let's head to you, Benji.
Et merci Frankie. Je suis avec un nouveau trio. Ils viennent encore des États-Unis. S'il vous plaît, du bruit pour Hicks, Ivcho and Clicks. Wow. Clicks, how do you feel, man?
I feel great. This is going to be the one. I'm bringing it home.
Hey, il le dit, il vient pour gagner, il est chaud.
Първият пенсиес на Clicks да е на One Event. Imagine.
Clicks, we know that you land at Supernova, and I heard that Fredoxy have to train you for the spawn. Tell me more about the story.
Yeah, he helped me train. Anybody who lands Supernova, you'll see what happens.
Pour faire simple, en fait, le trio de Clicks spawn, atterrit dans la ville de Supernova, et il y a un ami à lui, Fredoxy, qui l'a pendant des semaines entraîné gentiment parce qu'ils sont amis, et c'est grâce en partie à Fredoxy qu'aujourd'hui Clicks se sent à l'aise, et c'est pour ça qu'il spawn à Supernova. Last question, what's the objective? Only top one or nothing?
It's top one or nothing, and I gotta make sure this crowd is repping the set. Exit forever.
Du bruit, s'il vous plaît, pour Hicks, Ivcho and Clicks!
I had to grab
Damn,
King
за
from
Clicks
the
има малко.
Brazilian region, also representing Argentina here in Lyon today. I've got Ricardo to translate. King, you're so experienced on land that you won in Brazil and then went to North America because you're taking this so seriously. What did you
Брат
learn
Кинг
from
от
playing
World
in a
Cup до
different
тук.
region?
Licks, той е така. Има и други хора. Мистер Савич.
Estados Unidos para melhorar. Por quê? O que você conseguiu tirar disso, dessa viagem?
Ok. A gente foi para a NA porque é uma região muito diferente, muito melhor que a Brasil. Então fomos lá treinar para conseguir dar o máximo.
So they went to North America that has a better quality. So they were able to have better practice and to show up today the best they can do.
And you and Fazer are an experienced duo. Now, of course, you're playing as a trio. Do you think that trios is your favorite way to play this game?
Para mim, eu prefiro pouco mais duo, mas eu acho que o meu melhor nível é no trio.
So they like to play duo better, but they think that their trio is very strong.
I think you're going to be very strong. Thank you so much for talking to me. Obrigada, guys. Leon, please make some noise if you want to meet some more players. Vector ring!
Дошка здра.
Walking in now, it's the high-tier lobbies just could not contain them, and now it's time for them to unleash their true potential on the global stage.
The terrors of EU, Flixie, Veto, and Vico
Let's go.
themselves among the best of the best. They only lack one thing, a trophy. This weekend, they look to take it all.
All the way from Asia, Razzle, Raito, and Tay-Tay. It's a long way from home, but the Major 2 champions are here to deliver the performance of a lifetime.
Hold up, it's Pablo, Fredoxy, and Chino. These guys have been on fire this year. With a Major 3 championship under their belt, they're looking to continue
Another
that
crazy trio.
streak.
Show some love for Ping, Malabuka, and Wax. The venue may as well be home base this weekend, and with so much support behind them, these guys are set to head straight to the top.
Give it up for Chap, Reason,
Mana.
You know them, you love them, and now they're here to impress France this weekend. Let's see them climb to the top of that leaderboard.
Never count out at me because Snowy, Ryu, and Zod are here, and these guys mean business. Plenty of motivation, but now it's time to showcase that the Middle East is all about.
Domination is key
Oh my god.
A stellar year for the trio with all eyes on the trophy. They're not playing for second place here. It's all or nothing.
Hold on, it's Kazi, Tika, and Aspect representing the Oshi region this weekend. These guys are here to ensure that they'll be remembered for more than just their potential.
Make some noise. It's Braids, Visuals, and a Minish crushing the competition this year and making
Стакнаха се на стейджа, стакнаха се вече.
Let's see if they can deliver.
Bienvenue à Swizzy, Queasy, and Mercedes! After a year of causing chaos in lobbies on EU, now they're ready to bring the heat to Lyon on the global stage. It's showtime!
Между другото, най-младия на стейджа е на 14 години май. Или на 15 беше. Не помня, ама на 15 години е един от Middle East. Арк. Или не той. Не Арк, май беше от NA West по-скоро. А най-възрастният е Queasy. Виктор ви е на 14. Може да. Защото помня, че май имаш някой на 14. Пресес.
Guys, keep supporting us. Someone for Gentlemates will win.
Is that what you think? Qu'est-ce que vous pensez? Will they win today? I think the crowd are on your side today. One more question though. Do you think that Europe can face off and take this trophy home?
Yeah, 100%. Europe is taking this trophy.
Let's head to my favorite European, Benji.
Et je suis avec un nouveau trio et pas n'importe lequel. Regardez, messieurs, dames, avec moi du bruit pour Reason, Chap and Mr. Savage! Savage, hi. I remember that you got your call at the last major, at the last game, at the last moment, and now you're here on
Добър кол направиха те.
How do you feel?
От последна игра.
Great, I'm excited to be here. Bonjour Leon, how we doing?
Like you can see, you have a huge, massive fan base here in France. Do you have so many words, maybe in French? For your French guys?
2 милионера в отбора и един ученик.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Martin. Comment tu t'appelles? That's all I know in French, but yeah.
Une légende dans tous les domaines. Avec lui, je sais pas si vous êtes au courant ici, mais il y a quelqu'un dans ce trio qui parle mieux français encore, et même très bien. C'est Chap. Pourquoi? Eh ben parce qu'il vient aussi un peu de France, il est un peu de chez nous, sa maman elle est française, alors il parle français. Chap, est-ce que tu as un mot, ou plusieurs même à dire, un message à transmettre à tous les fans français ici aujourd'hui?
Je sais pas, je suis juste content d'être ici et j'espère de ramener la coupe à la maison.
Hey! Guys, make some noise for Mr. Savage, Chap, and Reason! And now, back to you, Frankie.
Thank you very much, Benji. Now, the Gentlemates fans have been waiting.
Не знам дали е Френч, ама явно знае Френч.
Because earlier, on the big screen, when we showed their
Това е лицето на Мерсаш Регорева.
so much noise, so much cheering in this audience.
Питър Бот.
And I know they are just
Пише нещо от Питър Бот, не успях да видя какво.
So please, boys, on your feet. Leon, make some noise for Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache! Queasy, I have to come to you first. You've had a couple of second places at Global Championships. How do you make it #1 this time?
That's the goal. I mean, second twice, and if I have these fans and the atmosphere, should make it.
And Swizzy, if you hang on a second, what's this? What's this thing? You want to shake my hand? What's this? Oh, okay, right. Show me how it's done. It's hard with a microphone, but I'm managing. Swizzy, it seems like you've already got a good friendship with the Gentlemates.
Yeah.
And what would you like to say to them as they chant your name?
I didn't hear.
Have you any words for the Gentlemates?
Gentle.
Gentle mates. Gentle mates. Do you want to have a go, Mustache?
I feel amazing, but I want to hear one thing. Gentle. No. Gentle.
Nice. Okay, guys, I think I should probably let you
Voice
get
crack
ready
now.
to load onto that battle bus because the teams here on our stage in Lyon are locked and loaded and ready to go.
The time has
Игра номер 1. Нека видим кой къде пада Питър Бот, дали ще падне на локацията си. Да видим какво ще стане на дистопия. 3 тима.
It's all about that player pride, Jacob. We know just how much is truly contained amongst so many of the players competing here today. But starting things off hot already, this is an off-spawn fight that we have been expecting to see. And what I really want to know is the shake-up, the outcome. Prodoxy trying to get that first touchdown.
Придокси взима оръжието. Пабло умира. Придокси е сам. 3 в 1. Фридокси умират първи, брат. No way. Питър Бот, Колт и Ричо падат на влак. Не на дистопия, както си знаехме. Нови тактики. Какво ли ще правят? Вико минут Флекси. Може би ще вземат 3 в 1 в момента при този пич. Трябва да го бият мега бързото обаче. Взимат го. Което сам. 4 точки на кил, by the way.
Both online and in global events just like this, but early on in game number one, he's already being forced to play out some of those tricks. He has to disengage, stay alive a little bit longer, and try to have a chance back. But you hear the crowd in the background, Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache uncontested at the hive. And some are looking at this could be one of the best.
Free medalon, free aranг, free bunker, ако им се спалне. Free search от Search Trading. Фейворитите да уинат лан евента. Дали ще успеят, ако не направят никаква грешка.
And most importantly of all, they're uncontested here at High. Whether that stays true throughout the course of this weekend, well, that'll be determined by how things develop, but other teams still caught up in a little bit of
А, не, всъщност това са азиатците и Пейпър. Обаче Питър Бот идва. Питър Бот идва.
Intentions of ever leaving this POI. So Tete, Raito, Razo, they're going to have to force some sort of a conclusion to this exchange before the third parties start to trickle in.
Yeah, and it's not just Cold and his trio that are over on this side of the map that they have to watch out for. You see a team at the bottom of your mini-map. They can easily try to rotate towards the north, disrupt what's going on. So that's going to be one of the key aspects to a fight like this. But you're already seeing a flank going around from Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. They're ready to take advantage no matter what happens here, no matter who comes out on top.
EpicPartner.
But Tay takes a big shot. EpicPartner, the 6-time FNCS champion, dealing a massive amount of damage.
Tay down to his last little bits of HP.
Никой още не е нокнат, обаче всички са на малко. Ало, не. 2 в 3. Ето ги, Питър Бот идват. Cold взима Елим. Оле, какъв ейм! Нок! Питърбот крещи като лут, не знам дали видяхте на камерата. Не знам дали се вижда. Питърбот умира обаче. Не видях какво стана, брат, за секунда.
This is almost exactly how it was playing in some of those practice games. But this time, Paper, Epic will
Два физа от Виктор Ви.
being the aggressors in some of these situations. They try
Виктор Ви трябва да физне, братле. No way, Питърбот.
He was a huge
Умря.
part of them even making it to the global stage. Clutch after clutch when his team went down through 4 different drop spots.
За секунда погледах надясно, братле, и видях Питърбот умря.
Ritual now need to start to think in and outside of the box. How do we get our IGL back? This is exactly what Victor
Wow.
from the revive to end the box, shutting down.
Макс пъмпи хедшот със семката, брат.
Victor V doing exactly what he needs to, showcasing what kind of a fragger he is. But Atris, Tayson, and a spot of
Тейсън като се сбиха с някакъв тим. Кой тима? Май от Middle East е този тим. Trying to apply pressure from a separate angle. Hard Hero also looking to see if they can get some good aggressive fire through, but things are just picking up. Тейсън има 5 кила. Вау.
Tayson going to be able to pull things out to a little bit of a standstill now. Chicho,
5 кила и още 3 гершка.
To force this battle.
Yeah, it seems like they're overall just kind of prioritizing trying to get as much surge as possible. You see their material count relatively low in comparison to after winning that spawn fight. You'd think they'd try to get as much resources as possible, but they know
Питърбот обаче дали ще успеят да го ребутнат.
Currency essentially allows you to freely rotate around the map versus other teams that might have to slowly rotate, sit in their surge bases a little bit longer and figure out.
Питърбот е ребутнат вече.
See, they figured it out quick for Cold and Ritual. They already get the reboot back on up, and they're ready to play this
Нищо
one out.
това не трябва да ги разстройва, гайс. Още е първ гейм, нищо не са загубили. Те са the best team.
We know just how capable they are at finding those eliminations, and they're not the only
Койо киват, Койо един кил имат, но и те са фейворитите да уинат. Двата фейворити има. Уизито и Койо, брат, за да уинат лен евент.
Straight elimination. So that team, that was the third one from Dystopia City, is down and out. But fight after fight, Art, I did see it in the feed. He already got one elimination, and I was talking to them a bunch. You know, me being an NA West fan, this was their game plan all along. Contested or not, they're going to push either towards
Арк срещу Олси и Vortex. О, Goofy обаче.
And already that confidence continues to build, but Goofy is just trying to slow things down just a little bit. And monster shot to take down the shield of Salco. But Ark and School, the IGL and the Fragger, they're still there. They're holding the walls and making sure nobody can get out of this one.
I mean, being honest, Ark's been running it all week long inside of the scrim lobbies, inside of the practice room. He is more than content to take up a box fight with anybody, and especially if he's got his teammates right next to him. You can see the confidence from the NA West boys, but Oshi still doing their best to hold their own despite
Олси тима са, не знам дали са с двама или трима, брат.
It doesn't seem to be deterring them. They know they can't really leave this area because they're
Май са
likely to
двама
keep their
само.
party. They've got to just find a way to delay and hope that they have that little bit of a saving grace from another team entering the exchange.
Uh-oh, I see somebody rotating relatively close. They said, hey, where's our invitation? We want to join this party. We want to figure out how we need to approach this situation, and they're lurking all the way underneath. So it's going to be Salco, School, and Ark, the ones that need to watch out just a little bit. Vortex and Goofy, they're just trying to hold their ground as much as possible. But this is the thing, against a team like Ark, School, and Salco, when you try to hold your ground like this, that's for them a sign of weakness. They're going to continue to put that pressure down. If you look at their material as well, they don't need to disengage out of this fight. They can wait as long as they want, because in essence, they're just denying you time, they're denying you opportunity, and denying the chance to get that reboot back.
But it might not be as prime as what it initially appeared, not with Queasy hovering in the distance. You can see they got a little bit of elevation to work with too. They're bound to take notice of what's going down.
Ooh,
elsewhere across the map though, south of Hyde, King, PA's in, Phaser getting fraggy up against Scarpa and Way. And that's going to be
King
an easy
4
clean
кило
up there for King's team. Feeling really good about that aggressive start.
Now over towards Supernova, and
Oh,
already
clicks,
early on,
clicks.
Taco, you can kind of see where the zone is favoring a
Ah,
little bit towards the north, massively towards the west.
Викам, че те са буквално до него, брат. Така изглеждаше пиловете.
Just yet, they can focus on trying to get as much storm surge as possible. They've run into trouble. There's a speed bump in their plan. That's Reet, Cooper, and Curly, and he was very vocal. Reet was. He said, "Hey, we understand what's going on around the lobby. We just gotta make some things happen." They have 2 early eliminations. That comes with storm surge itself, and they're continuing to rotate through so many other teams' loop paths and pathways.
There's also just so much confidence behind Reed and just teaming with a player that has so much faith in themselves. It's bound to just have that trickle-down effect to his teammates. Not to say that Cooper and Curly aren't clearly thinking of themselves in the same way, but it is a huge positive. But every single time this weekend, Jacob, that we see the Gentlemates, Malibuca, Ping, loading across the screen here, just waiting to find their reposition opportunity. That sole elimination on Malibuca right now, but tailing just behind Yapko, Panzer, and Seti. This could be disastrous if they don't realize what's coming up behind them.
Yeah, there's no audio visuals that far away, so they're just going to try to get some easy surge. You see the launch pads coming out. That's a huge signal. Seti and Panzer
Може би Япко на едно, той пинг с DMR ги хитва, брат. No way, на един удар остана.
Heads up to Seti and the Panzer. They not only building that to try to fire back on him, but that coincidentally enough shielded their teammate Yapko for him to survive.
They fully protected their trio mate. That's just excellent team play, but pulling back, Baka, Pars, Pump, a little bit tangled up right now north of Supernova Academy. Shot, Snowy and Ryu, though, arguably in a slightly worse position, but the intention is clear. These two teams very likely to clash here, Jacob. They could both definitely utilize Surge. We know just how high those numbers and that threshold can truly climb.
Yeah, and these are two teams. I think they land relatively close to one another, almost contesting each other even. During some of those practice games, they were actually kind of feeling each other out, fighting it out, but neither team kind of won that scenario, no matter if they won the fight or not. So they're trying to take a slower approach, but that means they're rotating parallel with the zone moving towards the north. Stay toward the dead side of it all and just try to make sure they have the best chances to survive what could be a very, very chaotic storm surge if it does deactivate. And that's why you're seeing so many teams taking that proactive approach to try to gain some elevation, some high ground, and even if it means fighting it out on the surge base.
Hero, he knows Wixie is low. Nobody there to provide a little bit of backup either. That could be the first knock here. Hero with the big opening FKS going to capitalize immediately, throws that body back into their box space control, and now FKS trying to make the approach from above. Just so aggressive though. Hero's gonna be forced to pull back just a little bit. Too much firepower breaking through, but Buriru just not healthy enough. Barely enough HP, and he can't escape from FKS. Aetherus even getting a little bit more involved from a distance, and this is part of the problem with trying to take some of these extended box fights. You just got these teams from so far away beaming through your walls.
Yeah, just got yoinked away. But Kanata, Rapid, and Bulge, Kanata's perfection continues in terms of qualifying for every single FNCS Grand Finals in the history of FNCS. But I think they come in with a different energy this time around. If you remember a few years ago, contested against Malibuca and Thomas at the Global Championship, he just had a different mindset. He's like, I'm contested, it's not going to go well. This time, he's confident. He says, hey, we're going to win. And the way they've been playing lately, they have as good a chance as anybody at taking that top spot.
A little bit of a sleeper, maybe under the radar team there, but Vanya, Mariez, Pixie, one of our major champion winners in EU, and now looking to see if they can extend their dominance across the globals stage. Vanya, Mariez,
Канада сигурно са взели Рифт по.
creep up on the opposition, but thinking twice, recognizing a couple other teams local to their area. They don't want to overextend here, but for Marius, he's just waiting to see whether or not he can break out these floors from underneath Valor and Mansour, doing a decent job to prevent Vanya, Pixie, and Marius from an outright collapse.
Yeah, and they're just kind of playing as calculated as they can. We've seen a lot of these fights kind of not necessarily end as smoothly and as cleanly as some of these trios would expect, especially with so many third-party potential there. You know, we saw Ivcho just kind of yoink that elimination away early on in this game, and now Vanya just trying to target it after. He feels like he has him soloed out, dropped him down a few layers, but he's able to catch himself and not let this pressure get to him too much. But they're in the zone, Taco, and that kind of depletes any opportunity from heal off later on in the game. The longer and longer you stay in this situation, but even if they win this here, they have to be careful. One team in front of them out of zone. You saw Chaff, you saw Reason, Mr. Savage. They're towards the north of them, so this is not going to be as dead-sided a rotate as they think it will.
But the main thing that I'm noticing, Jacob, is that Vanya, Marius, they're not carrying any white heals. So unless Pixie actually has some to work with, yeah, these guys are going to just have to get out of this position. They can't afford to keep tanking these early storm ticks.
Пепър Бот ще губи. Тома ще умре. Ти на Уец.
Питър
Бот срещу Вино тук. Питър Бот са много скъсани обаче. този страт, където направиха тази игра.
Yeah, and for, you know, Ritual and his trio, they just kind of have scraps. They got sticks and stones. And look at this on the other side. Multiple minis, big pots, full health, almost max mats. And even though they don't necessarily have that information on one another, that is a great decision for them to kind of go their separate ways. Because I would almost give that one up to Venno and his trio if that did fight it out. Continuing looking around, Cammy, how the eye drop all the way from the Shining Span Bridge. And honestly, even though they're on different teams, Seti, Cammy, I don't know if it would have been the same global championship without him, but Storm Surge finally showing its face, 602 damage above the threshold. As much as I want to feel confident, we know that can change in the blink of an eye.
Oh, easily, but Acorn and Agers, they might just be the ones that actually intervene here. They seemingly have favorable positioning, but Cammy, a little bit of pressure applied with the approach now. Malibuka, Ping, and Walks just trying to be wary. There is so much company in that area. It's very easy. Just one window edit for too long, you could easily be domed and taken down.
Uh-oh, 321 damage below the threshold. This is a two-time NA West champions. In Major 1, they won 6 out of 12 games, just dominating the region. But contested off spawn, it tends to do things to you, especially when the team is running away. But they're still hot on the hills. These are still the two teams rotating parallel to one another. But Baka, Pars, and Pump, they've now ran out of options. Their hand is being forced, and they have to go in because Storm Surge will activate, and every 7 seconds they will take 25 damage.
But the worst part still, Saad not actually in the same position. His team relatively healthy for their surge, at least for right now, Jacob. Bars, they're going to take a moment to pause, but now with these storm ticks starting to break away at their shields, they're going to be forced to fight it. Baka already out of this battle. Pars shortly after, but now Saad, Snowy, Ryu. This is a huge come up. These guys just got a little loot bomb up the front door.
And I forgot to mention, if Storm Surge takes you down, you don't get knocked. You get straight eliminated back to the lobby. But I did see it in the feed. A couple of these guys kind of putting it all into the test. Cooper lands a great shot on Valor. You see him dropping him down. 1v3 situation. And he is just hitting haymaker.
Няма значение, че на LAN event той е най-добрия отново. Holy fuck, 3v1.
Couldn't have been a better time to clutch things up, but Cooper is still going to have to essentially play his life here. There are too many players that are going to prevent him from finding that breath of relief.
Заради му е така камерата, брат. Той направо е страшно клавиатура. След това е нов те.
Sad to see after what a phenomenal clutch he just pulled off, and with Walks, Malibuka, and Pink pressing behind him, that's going to be tough to actually survive. But Peterbot continues to have to deal with playing the defensive here. Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot now looking to be on the move, but they're still just barely above this damage threshold. They're going to have to turn and fight eventually.
They're sitting on a teeter-totter right now when it comes to Storm Surge, and it's knocking them above, below, and it's essentially doing a little bit of mind games for a team like this. And you see his material count, 3 builds left. They almost have to go on the team they see, but it's
34 баф, те нямат абсолютно нищо.
Питърбот.
Просто мега локи, ако Питърбот не беше умрял. Те не могат да го изкарат даже.
EU on one side, Middle East on the other, and Ritual, the last man standing, but not for much longer.
No way.
Умират
е първа игра.
That is a huge blow here in game one, but
Не изглежда добре.
now they might have drawn the attention of the lobby. They're going to take a moment to pause, replenish their shields.
Уизли са на хай.
What they can, but they're lingering just outside. They're going to have to still try and push past Tayson's trio, and that's going to be hard to tunnel through.
Once again, brad.
With the way that the zone is pulling over resistance, so much water, so much exposure. Teams are just burning through materials.
Yeah, this one's going to get messy. There's one lone team. I think they're a duo on the other side.
Паднаха някъде, нищо не видях.
They don't have to worry
Кликс
about
живеят.
anything. Meanwhile, they have to make decisions here on this side of the zone. Do you stack up the beach coast as long as possible with different players, or do you try to make that daring play, try to get towards the center? Because who knows, if the zone goes south, that'll be a play that works out for you. But if it pulls north, if it pulls towards the east, that's when they're going to have some troubles.
Take a look at what's happening on height, though. Queasy, Mustache, and Swizzy. Can you think anything different to ever take place in an endgame lobby, Jacob, than seeing Queasy immediately try to challenge and take height for himself? You can already tell the Gentlemates are going absolutely ballistic right now. Swizzy and Mustache just following through Queasy's commands here out of their IGL, but they've got the entire lobby in their sights. It's all about maintaining their positional control.
Oh, they actually found themselves 66 below.
Oh, Vino няма миснат шот.
With that minigun and some pre-edits, they're able to kind of take him down, grab that.
Ява то тим вижте къде е, бе, брат. И им пълна зона. Имаджин ако не им беше пълнало. Как са отишли там даже?
The bad thing though, their loadout, their material count, that one is not looking good. 5 bandages, luckily they don't have any HP missing yet, but they have a max pull all across the water to the other side of that island. It's not going to be easy for a single person in this game, but there goes Malabuka. Nice drop on the Hottie. He needs it, and he needs it now because he's barely above that damage threshold.
And that's the kind of refresh that Marius was hoping to find, but instead it's going to be all Malabuka. But no, he's going to actually be forced to keep charging forward. He doesn't even get a chance to try and collect that body loot.
Nice тук не са дръмна стената, което е добре.
Good amount of material and just beaming a minute as he trails behind him. The Fizz Crash Pad combination just taking him so far, but when you're in this position, Jacob, as a solo over the water, you're just hoping out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, you just got to take it one step at a time. You can't get too ahead of yourself, especially if you hear action going down around. You got to use that as a distraction to try to get out. Marius finds himself in a tough spot. Well, damage threshold and another elimination on the eye drop, but he is by himself as a solo with a rotation to make. Now he's just getting ticked little by little. Talal is able to finally take him down. That's a big boost for a team like that.
Тим, където не ги знам, са на хай. Мистер Савич живеят, изглеждат окей. Тримат са на макс. Видно фликси, добре са.
And move into the next position. Cisco Kaido Striker though, right up above. Kanata Rapid and Bolts trying to see.
Питър Бот умряха, да. 12 тима остават. Не е много стакната май, защото беше във вода тази зона.
But with the crash pads in play, Jacob, that's going to be so difficult.
Yeah, you got to watch out too. Ivcho, Riz, Tayson, they're underneath. They're probably having their eye on the high ground. Cisco's trying to put good damage onto King Phaser and PH Sin, but it backfires on him, forcing him to retreat just a little bit. As Tayson just building his way up, he knows he doesn't want to be stuck on that mess on the low ground. And even NA West in the elimination feed going crazy as Arkan Skull take down King Phaser and PH Sin with a little help from Chap.
But Tayson's got such an excellent position in that secondary high layer now, shooting towards that front side of the zone. It's only Clicks and Ivcho. They lost Higgs somewhere along the way. Ivcho doing what he can to claim a little bit of space here next to Clicks, but ideally they're going to have to
Reason има шанс да спечелят тази игра срещу Уизито. Тайсън.
Mustache, he's actually fallen the mid ground, getting a little bit too chaotic, and he just couldn't break through.
Yeah, Chicho's the one that gets the down, but Kadu's the one that steals away the elimination and getting a lot of loot for their efforts.
Не, Мерсач ще умря по-скоро.
steal whatever is left back from her stash. And you're seeing there's a decent amount of loot. The Flowberry Fizz, probably the most
Мистер Савич ще даде малко. Добре, окей са.
has.
Вино лоуграунд.
Inventory is Veno. Quick CP.
Взимат лоуграунда Вико с минигана. Много е близо. Ще да умре добър ресет.
Vico's got to play a little careful here not to take too much damage. Swizzy, Queasy, same thing, but they have multiple splashes. They got the slurp juice. They got the key to success in there.
Queasy 8 билда, 4. Суизи гледа за кил. 17 билда. Вино играе ауткил. Вико взима арк. Има и 2 метита Вико. Дали ще ги играе, дали ще ги дропне на Вино. Не, умира с тях. Йомзо взима нок май. Клик с 2 нока. Ако вземе сайфана ще кочне доста. Не. Топ 8 има 2 нока, не успя да ги вземе. На хайсът също има, който още не ги знам кои са, от кой регион. Тайсън с 10 кила, 73 точки, 1 кила, 4 поинта, брат. А те с 10 кила. Сплифът Кая, много са конфиденти, един умира, другия умира. О, мага! Взимат Кай като долу, убият 2 от трилото им. 12 кила за тях в момента. Канада са живи отдолу. Топ 5. Суизи, Куизи още живеят. Holy fuck. Тайсън взимат Кая като долу, брат. Суизи топ 5. Ризан и Чап са живи. Топ 3 в момента, андърдоговете. Още за хай, брат. Има трил на лоу. Канада, Rapid Bolts с 6 кила. 7 вече. 2 в 3, кой ще спечели? Rapid умира. Чико и Тайсън са праймъпнати, брат. 2-2. О, Тайсън е хитнат хард, няма мац. Чико. Канада уинат first game. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, брат. Канада winning first game. О май гад, брат. Колкото беше хайпнат. Ето, че изпечели first game, брат. О май гад. И Тайсън second place с 13 кила, май. Нещо от сорта.
Now you have the first victory royale, but you made it look simple.
I mean, to be honest, Rapid Eye yelling like a goat right now. I'm just following. I'm the minigun in the whole lobby, and we just winning the game for free.
Winning the game for free. I don't think the other trio is going to let you have an easy ride in future. For you, Bolt, what was it like being caught in the chaos? The three of you going
топ
into
5 предикшените изобщо не изглеждат добре на никой. Е, сега ще видим лидерборда.
Everything was a max. Guy on my double edit, 120 on height, Nada goes up from the back, dead on both. Literally a go.
First game, first victory royale. That was the plan?
Yeah. First of many. Sorry. First of many.
First of many what?
Wins. Victory royales. 4.
Ah, il mise sur 4 victoires. Messieurs, dames, du bruit pour le trio.
Да, игра за Савич, да. Тайсън обаче, както държат първо или второ място в момента, currently, те са конати от Фридокси, брат. Така че...
Oh, we got at least 3 more wins in a bag. I already said backstage I'm doing at least 4 wins in this entire tournament for free.
All right then, well guys, I'll let you get ready for the second lobby of the day. Leon, let them hear you! Bobs, Canada, and of course Rapid. Let's head to the break. We'll be back soon with more Fortnite.
Let's go! Global 2025! Гейм 1 показва, не е ваша грешка пак. Поправете си заглавията. Нека видим кой тим какво ще направи, който ще се измъкне ли на някаква друга локация. Питър Бо ще падне ли дистопия, Фридокси ще уинат ли този лотпаун.
not even the team in first place.
Куизи дали ще бъдат колнати от Питърбот.
Off-spawn winners from game number 1, Tayson, Ivcho, and Haris. And honestly, it's not going to be that easy all day long between these two teams. And honestly, I wouldn't wish it.
Добре, офспаун, нека видим кой ще го вземе гейм номер 2.
Again, straight off the spawn. A little bit of 50-50 action going down between Pablo and Haris. Right now,
Фридок се взима помпа, хитва за 30 лайт. Дед! Добре, обаче 3 в 1 в момента. Има шанс тази игра да уинат. Уинват офспауна, ето че first place вече ще стане топ 7 или топ 8, а именно Тайсън губят офспаун. И за това казвам, всеки тим, който е колнат, почти никога не е печелил, даже абсолютно никога не е печелил FNCS титула или Grand Finals титула на LAN евент. Защото ако си колнат, шансът е много малък. Фликси обаче умира 2 в 2 са.
I know we had a translator helping us out during that interview, and the one thing that didn't need it was, are you going to switch things up? No, is what he was trying to tell the world, but this is how it all started off. Ivcho was able to get the first drop onto Yuma. That opened things up, but unfortunately
Питърбот не се бори. Едно е да сплитнеш локация, друго е да не се. Еми и преда, това не е all-spawn битка, брат, Moments или къс. Сплитани са бори за кон. Ама явно се просто да го знаеш.
Some of those surge partners and trying to take matters into their own hands. Victor V, Paper, Epic Whale, Dystopia City has been theirs to own, but they still have company to clear out. Rahito and Tete directly underneath Victor V.
Victor V.
That game one momentum swing.
Питърбот, какво стана с тях?
All Victor V needs.
But wait a minute. I know everybody at home thinking the same thing. Where is that third team? But back on over to this side of the map. Veno finally able to get the drop onto Yuma yet again. So it was Coyote, it was Rise that went for that revive. They did find success, but the down is there yet again. But he gets dropped right back into their box. So Veno, Ivcho, their job is not done just yet. They still have to figure out where and when they're going to get these eliminations and how they're going to get Flixi back into the game, because the reboot ban, Taco is down there.
Still a massive advantage though for Ivcho and Veno having the high ground.
Питърбот са в някаква дупка, брат.
And FKS, Peter by Ritual, Cold. They might just have to go head to head, but Cold, Peter by Ritual, they're taking more of a scenic route here, Jacob. They don't seem like they're going to stick to the same strategy through each of these lobbies. Everybody has to be on red alert. Even though it didn't pan out in their favor for game 1, you can never count Peter Bot out.
Yep, it looks like for game number 2, they had some time to talk about it, but they went ahead and spin that wheel. They said, where do you want to go next? It looks like could be possibly over towards Foxy Floodgates. We don't know the exact
Което Вино правиха на Grand Finals. От 12 игри Вино паднаха на 9 различни локации. И мисля, че бяха второ място. И бяха мега close до first.
And I was talking to you, Taco, during game 1, saying this is a different vibe from Canada, this major. This is a whole different feel during the Global Championship, and it's already showing up in game 1.
Touch on that a little bit later on. Right now, we've got Prodoxy, Pablo, Ingo, Gino. They found Yuma. They're looking to finish what Veno and Ivcho had started. Originally, Gino definitely getting the better end of that trade. Rise already down out for the
Gino prime up.
Nearly falling, but a back-to-back knocks, double eliminations, and Gino holding strong.
Gino може да повторят играта, която Тайсън направи.
And that's going to be a clean sweep at Canyon Crossing.
And this is exactly what you need for Chino, Pablo, and Prodoxy is it's almost impossible to guarantee you're going to win 12 out of 12. They already lost game 1. So when you do win that off-spawn fight, you have to make each and every single one of those games count. And they're already making it sure that they get those eliminations. And they even take down some of the top teams in their path. We'll switch on over to Hive. Kind of business as usual as Mustache gets the down on the Goofy from across the map. But there's too much space, there's too much distance, and you look at their loadout, they don't have a ton of crash pads, they don't have a lot of Flowberry Fizz that they're using together, so they're not going to be able to easily rotate on over to get the elimination.
Also an issue with Swizzy having
Може да раздаваш роля
freshly
вътре.
knocked. That's going to mean that Mustache is now on revive responsibility, and then immediately straight back to trying to acquire additional surge from across the way. Oceania, though, definitely sending some presence back towards the way of EU. We'll have to check up and see how well this fares, but the elimination feed definitely picking up and revisiting Dystopia City. Victor V and Epic Whale, but Victor V's got 2 eliminations, and they're able to take care of this reboot no problem, but still bound to draw some additional attention.
Yeah, and kind of rightfully so. These guys are just playing out of their minds. Victor V deserves the biggest stage and the biggest round of applause. Honestly, I don't know where Pops is at in this building, but he has to be a part of this loud crowd. And there's the second elimination on the Razzo, and they're making sure they know it. Look, it doesn't matter, M8 or not, they're cheering for this young individual.
Can't help but think part of the success that some of these teams are trying to claim, it does start with finding those early eliminations, even a knock, anything to kind of boost your confidence. But Art, someone who was definitely swinging throughout that first lobby, still, this is a difficult situation to tackle here. Kadu, Pisco, and Striker just continue trying to berate into these walls. They're not going to be able to break through the box just yet, but Southco from overhead, alongside Art, they're looking to try and make a separate angle approach. They've actually got Striker's trio a little bit trapped, and despite things looking slightly grim here for Arc and Salco, they've delayed it long enough. This might not be that appetizing of a fight.
Yeah, and luckily for them, though, down below, they have control of a lot of the pieces, so it's kind of going into enemy territory for Tisco, Kadu, and Striker. They have to be careful. The risk-reward scenario here, and they think they have the mismatch, but no, another team rolls up. Upbull, Focus, Mixin, and they get at least one of those eliminations onto Kadu. That's going to help. That's a breath of fresh air for Art and Salco, because this distraction is allowing them to stay alive. As Mixin and Upbull, they clean up yet another elimination out here deep in the zone.
Dastardly there from Upbull, and a steep punish to boot. It just a fresh reminder to every single one of these teams in the lobby, there is no such thing as a clean battle if you can't find that quick time to elimination. It's something that so many of these veterans here on land, we're looking at a ton of major winners, right? Even across the international stage, but watch getting busy. Raito gonna be eliminated. And checking back now with Mixin, Upbull, and Focus, they recognize there's still one more trio member. Granted, with those 2 eliminations, they're recognizing the fact that this is just a easy final piece if we want to take it, but it's not something they have to force.
Yeah, you got to really be careful here, too, if you're Arc and Salco, because that team's just floating around. They don't necessarily know Arc and Salco are there, so they just have to be patient as can be and kind of hope they have enough Storm Surge to last these next couple of zones. Because they're not a team that'll build those towers. Arcspo and Salco is one that just kind of fight for their surge all across the western side of the map. Buwaks being Malabuka, they have that 1 elimination so far, uncontested at Outpost. But very, very similar to that last game, this zone is pulling all the way towards the north, so a lot of these teams have to think rather quickly.
But this is a very dangerous position that Ping has taken up. He's being fully collapsed on by the Middle East. Halad gonna find that initial knock onto Ping. Malabuka gonna be forced to try and possibly pull back from this position. FKS, Hero, and Halad just fully intervening with what they were scheming by the Alpha's Enclave. They're trying to get some surge across the way from Panzer and Yapto, but that option has just been reduced to nothing.
All about kind of waiting to see if it's worth it. They know at least 2 teams are fighting, but they may not know how many are still alive over on this side of the map. Malabuka is using that opportunity. Even with his teammate down, he knows Storm Surge is a problem, and he has to worry about it every step of the game. Pablo, Chino for Doxy, they get another elimination. With visuals who have honestly, this is like redemption. They said we went down early in game 1, we didn't get any points. If we have any shot of getting a top 10 in this tournament, we have to pick up the pace, and that they shall do.
Питър Бот и винал са горе, бе, човек.
Те
са 9 кила вече.
In EU, they were scrappy, they were aggressive, and they were successful for it. And right now, when you're hold that thought though, Chino.
No way, brad.
The dangers involved
Трябва да го реснат бързо и да изпопне свърпа иначе. Добре, те не ги идват.
There's definitely trouble in the horizon. Teams immediately trying to key them, seeing that that knock was successful.
Yeah, just kind of an opportune moment. They just chop out the... I feel like I'm seeing this more and more and more. They just take that opportunity, catching them slipping, maybe even asleep, and they just end that fight rather quickly. But it was Agers, Acorn, and Pollo that actually did get that knock. It does look like they were trying to rotate in that direction, but they rather quickly to get the revive. No worries there. Malibuca walks. No ping still in sight. There's so many teams here on the southern portion of the map, including Hero, Halal, and FKS. And Alex's team even beginning to rotate over along with Anon and Resigns. This southern portion of the map is looking rather busy.
Oshi has just decided, hey, we are so far south, but we need to get surged somehow. So for them to push forward, they might have taken notice of what was taking place inside of that elimination feed. A slightly different tempo, though, for Marius, Vanya, and Pixie. Just content to farm things out a little bit.
Kinga?
Our headquarters. Spot King off in his own surge base. Decent ways away, though. So all this plethora of heals and loot and easy rotations, but surprisingly enough, Ark might have just been able to clutch up big time for himself and Salco.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost an understatement. They tried to get the reboot back onto school. He went down again. It's almost because they were able to pick up a huge elimination. It's Malibuca getting a knock onto Nam, but we're going to jump on board Cooper, Reek, and Curly.
Кърли, този човек строи с байндове на F от F1 до F5, guys. Като мен е един.
But now you can see what's landing right next to him. A huge drop, a huge upgrade, and that's something a team like this feeling confident once they get it.
Chalka and Ark still trying to fight things out here. Big knock onto Uppo, but Focus from overhead. He's going to bring down Salco. It's all down to Focus versus Ark. Focus definitely having the HP advantage currently, but he's going to go for the full finish here onto Salco. That siphon immediately extending his leverage here. Ark scrambling underneath him, trying to see if he can replenish just a little bit of his shields to boot. But Ark, he's got to make a decision. He's got to make it quick. He's trying to see if he can get this right angle peek. Instead, stuck underneath these pre-existing builds. Focus going to create a little bit of space here. Focus off the right fish, trying to get the overhead approach. And Ark, he's still looking to take this fight. He's not backing down. You have to respect the guts to go for it. And Focus still struggling to clean things up. Ark might just be able to turn it, but Ark, he doesn't have a lot of HP.
Oh my god.
He's not going to be able to win it.
Lele.
He had the opportunity, Jacob, if he just had
Ако
one more
беше го лузнал,
shot.
брат.
Very, very unfortunate circumstances for Ark. He ran out of white heals, no bandages, no medkits, those slurp juices. He had to be aggressive, but that played directly into Focus's hands, and he capitalized on it perfectly. Even though they're out of zone, Taco, I expect their full trio to be back into this game rather shortly. The fourth zone, still relatively early on in this game, but 6 eliminations for Halad, FKS, and Hero. Seeing how they're picking up some of those eliminations. It's Walks, he gets caught slipping, clothesline. Shut down rather easy. Malibuca as well. No knock onto Malibuca, which means they're out of this game.
We knew it was going to be difficult, though, for Malibuca's team to have a recovery point. They got so locked down at Outpost and Clay, but this is wicked work by Pablo, Chino, and Ferdoxy, just slowly making the Ferdoxy crouch approach. He's been notorious for this method over the course of this past year, and now, currently, it could be the surprise that Peterbot does not want to have to deal with, or Gold and Ritual. But Pablo, Chino, Ferdoxy, the patience, the discipline, they know exactly when they want to strike. They could possibly even be looking to try and tackle a couple other teams nearby.
Yeah, just kind of double options, wait for zone. But if somebody kind of gets a little bit too ahead of themselves, that could be an opportunity as Peterbot shutting down Resigns.
Ама пак нямат абсолютно нищо, брат.
So the number 1 team from OCE is out of the lobby in game number 2 as Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual looks to ramp things up. But Pixstorm and Demas, underdog story.
Те барабани потава, давай да чуем играта, бе, мой.
I love the underdog story. And everybody, so many people were putting this team in the top 10, maybe even some inside of the top 5. Yesterday, we were watching their games. They were kind of having fun with some sky bases, but now is the time to really put it all to the test. zone favoring their side of the map. They just had to travel up a little bit towards the north, but now they got a position ahead of everybody team towards the south. This is a good chance for them to start
Game number 2.
Their low ground fragging potential has been what's really struck them into the spotlight from EU. But you can't help but think about the fact that even in that first lobby, I know Sven has been cooking up some strats with his Polish boys, because we saw Big Star Demas attempting to maintain height at one point. Curious if they tried to do that same sort of mentality in the secondary lobby. Height was definitely a little bit scrappy last game, but King, Phaser, and OPX in a little bit of trouble here, but they know Focus is in even more trouble. They want to see if they can maybe isolate that solo, keep him pinpointed, keep him away from their position. EXN is going to need a bailout soon, though.
Yeah, and this is a scary situation for the entire trio, for that matter. Finally, they find some heals, but I was just thinking 177 above the damage threshold. It is above the damage threshold, but it is not a ton. Things can change rather quickly, especially you see Merstash, you see Swizzy, Queasy on the other side of the mountain in the zone, pushing further and further towards the northeast. And this is where in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, on that side of the map, Taco, there's mountain rangers, there's dips, there's dives, there's so many different things in terms of elevation.
Това може и 2 тима даже. Може и при Докси да се не знам.
Pollo and Agers would have normally anticipated, or anybody honestly in this audience would have expected them to do, but
Agers обаче, ако няма сплашки, може да се лепи много добре.
This dead side rotate is absolutely perfect. They don't have to worry about encountering any
При
of
Докси ми е интересно какво правят, защото има 9 кила барат. Нали, ние видяхме как взимат киловете, ама дали ще киват още едва ли. Все пак да ви кажа. Кликс дали са живи, еми може би да. Ако не са се сбили с някакви, Канала е жив. Game 1 winner. Канала е on fire. Последният Divisional Cup той го спечели и нямаше игра под топ. Не знам. Буквално всичко му беше под топ 10. 400 и нещо точки беше. Много консистентен.
So for Canada, Rapid and Bolts, they already won game number 1, 9 eliminations. For them, I think it's kind of like slow and steady with the race. They're not going to get greedy for eliminations.
Мъс съживи Купър, Мистер Савич, не му е крашен от клик, съживи Куизи там.
Some of these elevation shifts though, it really
challenges може да не са Dead Last.
Finding the most optimal path for their teammates. Swizzy, Queasy, Merstash. Not gonna get too tagged up here by Ivcho.
Интересен факт, OC никога не е печелила игра, камо да е печелила Global турнир. И игра не са печелили на LAN евент. Единственият е OZ Antics, който беше с Питърбот и те спечелиха. Но това не го борим.
They're not gonna let these guys go.
Bro, they got the exotic slapberry fizz, they got slurp juices, they got splashes. I know you start to think a little scared, like how much they have to stay this deep in the zone. It is gonna be a 2-tick, but they have more than enough and 2 potential eliminations, which will grant them Siphon, so that way they can save those heals even more. As Prodoxy doing his lurk, patented lurk here coming out, up above.
Male.
Help that he thought he did. They're gonna clean up those eliminations. They have 11 eliminations. What are we witnessing at a Prodoxy
спрат такива, те продължават.
That last lobby, they had 0 placement points from being wiped off spawn, but 44 elimination points is absurd, Jacob. And they're not looking to slow down anytime soon. What I'm worried about for them right now is they are taking a lot of storm damage. Storm sickness could definitely pose a problem for them later on, but we'll just have to see how they continue to move through this lobby. Meanwhile, Peterby, Cole, Ritual, a little bit stuck.
Които умряха в спаун, Вико са умрели също.
Peterby, Ritual, and Cole be super stacked from those divisional cups, but here in the global stage, they just haven't found a home.
Honestly, quite shocking. We tune into Mr. Savage, Reason, no chap in sight. Getting eliminated early, but I'm a glass half full type of guy. You see them center zone, so as long as they have enough Storm Surge, they're not going to have to worry about rotating from point A to point B like most of these teams. And then you can see the whole stack side, the eastern side of the zone, that have the elevation. So now it's kind of like a mind game for some of these players. Do I give up my little bit of high ground to rotate a little bit more center, where there's less and less pressure from some of these teams? Or do I stay and hope for the best when the zone cuts back to the northeast?
Queasy already scouting out exactly where he wants to go next.
Питър Бот обаче не изглежда добре за този FNC свин. Докс имат 11 кила, брат. Буквално и двата тима са инсейн, които падат на тази локация. Медалона, който дава Сайфан. Нищо особено. Всъщност то митика, какъв митик ти даваше от локацията? Не ти ли даваше помпата, брат, която е митик? Слуипър шотгана, да.
But it might have been worth it. It pulls towards their south with a lot of these teams, but Proxy knows they're trying to go down pressure. 10 HP, barely surviving.
Имат 11 кила, забележете, 11 кила, но Пайпетър Бот като чак.
One's gonna go down, Cole's gonna fall as well. Ritual by himself yet again. He's able to get the knock on the Pablo, but there is no
11 кила и са само 600 на бъв.
For the trade of revives, he loses Cold entirely, and he's not able to actually stick it to Peterbot. Peterbot's gonna be left behind. Ritual gonna be forced to play it out as a solo now. Gino, Pablo, and
13 кила за тях. Дали ще дропнат 20 кила в one event? Още 7. Всъщност не знам дали е имал някой тим, който е правил 20 кила, може да е имало, но не знам. О, кой е умирал от съж, бе, брат? No way. Бяха бъф и след това директно седна на бело и го хит на сържа да един пик не умре. 14 бъф. Топ 18, ако вземе някакви два, взе плесмента, ма вече отново бело. Хай са Куизи отново. Този път дали ще го държат обаче, защото първа игра го не го държаха. Куизи, ама хай, бро.
Take height, don't get eliminated, and obviously in the first game they gave it up because they didn't want to go down. This time is their chance. 400 plus damage above the threshold, and it continues to count up. And they pull the zone. That is the biggest difference from game 1 to game 2. They now have the
При Докси ротейтват за хай. При Докси умира обаче. No way. Много добри еймъри просто. Чино и Пабло трябва да го играят като долу вече. Имаха шанс за 20-ката да дропнат. При Докс много и умря просто. Те просто гледаха баксайд и бяха готови да убият всеки. Нека видим какво ще направят като долу, да ще кошнат доста. Куизи имат доста точки, исках да кажа. От първа игра взеха към 50, мисля, че сега са 76. Ако уинат, може и да са first place. Много зависи Канада още тук в играта като трио. Клик спот тях. Супер. Канада над тях. Канада играе много добре играе. Кинг, ти има от Бразилия 7 кила за тях, хосми. Оу. Underdogs. 0 билда за Кинг. Топ 10. Играят гъс до гъс. Кинг е на малко и тиммейта му на малко. Филикс и Омзо голдаун. 5 хила на хай. Канада живеят ли? Пикси са живи, Канада и те са живи, брат. Много добре игра. за тях. Марио Скал на лоу. Марио Скал умира. Добър ем от Мерстач. Доста килове взимат така. Кило е много важен, защото е по 4 точки. Хиликс добра игра от тях. Още не умират. Суизи не успя да попне. Нямаше билдове. Обаче това пулва апхил. И това може би да изи уин за тях. Holy fuck, вижте зоната само. Holy fuck. Каква зона? 10 кила за сега. Това пистолетче, боже мой! Това пистолетче! Get high, don't die. Най-добрият Куизи, брат. Вземи или хай, или не умре, няма как да не спечели.
I mean, it's nice, feeling nice. I want to win more games. We're going to win more games. And they're going to scream more louder with every game.
I think they will. Quizzy, it felt like in game one, you tried to take the high ground maybe a bit too early. You couldn't hold it. This time round, there were no mistakes. How did you make sure the plan went flawlessly?
I mean, it's never too early. Like, even first game, if we got some lucky pulls, we could have had it. 4 pulls we had, and then they pulled over the water and was kind of unlucky we couldn't get it. But game 2, we got some favors in our way, and that's it.
You don't need luck to win this, Quizzy.
Cette fois, ils n'ont pas laissé passer l'occasion. Il a dit cette fois, ils l'ont pris cette hauteur et ils sont allés au bout. What's the plan now for the next games?
Keep going high and playing our game, that's it.
Le plan de jeu il est clair, on va jouer la hauteur à toutes les parties et
Фридокси имаха шанс да ги спрат.
Big shout out, bravo to Quizzy.
Но Фридокси умря мидер.
Now, Mustache, earlier on we did practice the gentlemates chant. Do you want to give it one more go?
Yeah. Are you ready, guys? Gentle! Gentle!
Very good. Very, very good indeed. One more time though. Gentle, gentle, gentle!
Канада са направили само един кил и за това са 145 точки. Quizzy Мерстач са first place в момента. Те сънката умряха от спаун и чино направиха къмбак играта, защото умряха от Тайсън. 7 с 13 кила. Те бяха втори с 13. Така че нека видим какво ще стане. Бразилците топ 4. 12 с 7 кила, 10 с 8, 102 точки. В момента са четвърти. Омага. Сети Япко Панзър са топ 5. Бака, Парси, Пъмп. Играта, която умряха от Сърч. В момента са направили топ 39 кила и са топ 7. Вико Вино Флекси 6 с 7 кила. Първа игра и втора са умрели. Кликс в топ 10. В момента е 9. Арк, Скул и Салко в топ 10. Мистер Савич са умрели тук. Ануки. Рид Купър Кърли, Дебети с 2 кила има тази игра. Мъската е добра игра за тях. Горе-долу. Малибука. Алекс е последен, ме брат. No way.
Find out right now.
Go. Game number 3 is among us, and so much is going down around the map. It's kind of hard to keep focused. You got the Rangers Ruin Osbon fight 1-1. You got the triple contested, or even now a duo contested Dystopia City. You got Drop Spot Roulette being played out as well, and you got Quizzy's team and Kanada's team at the top of the leaderboard.
But we just saw Prodoxy and Tayson on the big screen here in Lyon, and they are going back to back to back with these off-spawn
Chino дали ще уинат или Тейсън? Тейсън май го уинва това или? Освен
dealing with the swarm. They are all tunneled inside of the same
better RNG.
Rangers Ruin is getting desperate right now for Gino. He's only got 4 HP to work with, but Atris, he's actually going to be the first one fully eliminated. Gino still holding it down, delaying, buying up time.
Чико, хлебарката спасява при Докси, maybe. 2 в 1, 3 в 1. Убиха ги Тейсън, брат. О, мага. Обаче другия тим. Някакъв тим, братле, out of nowhere дойде. Сега имаджин да го загубя този тим, братле, bad looks. Павло умира.
Team. There's another team that's starting to look in this direction for Gabzetta, Scarpa, and Way. They got what they came for, and that's position over Rangers Ruin.
The pain right now for Chino and for Doxy is that Chino is just stuck. Doxy had to create a little bit of space. He had to He knew he could no longer stay involved in this fight. But this is definitely going to put a damper on their overall game strategy because they're just going to have to wait it out. Gabzetta, Way, and Scarpa, they're also going to reap all the benefits of taking Rangers Ruin for themselves.
See if that one continues to play out. We'll take a close eye on that one. But this one, Dystopia City, where we thought it was a triple contested fight. Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot go back to something they did early on in game 1. They landed towards the outside, but they do not know. Tinka and his entire trio is right above from OCE waiting for things to break out. But a triple contested, they're all landing towards the launch pad. Rise is the one that's getting good damage on Vico, and that's the first knock. Flixie's taking some damage as well. Luckily for him, he has a momentary
Damn, азиатците печелят този спална ли бе, брат?
Right now.
No way.
He was trying to see if he could provide a little bit of coverage, but 1 versus 3, and he's not going to get the chance to escape. Asia coming out on top in game 3.
What is this? It might be a Brazilian thing, you know what I'm saying? Because both of the teams that qualified out of Brazil, or at least 2 of the 3, are now made their way over towards Rangers Ruin.
Как сниква да брат, какво става?
Though they were able to get on out, so this is just a whole different mix-up that I didn't expect in a million years.
This is the Prodoxy effect right now. At Rangers Ruin, everyone is just crouching, creeping up on each other. But Scarpa gonna be some of the first to open up with some big shots. Still not feeling comfortable just yet, diving straight into the heart of the action here. But Scarpa, they recognize King. He might be trying to make this flank approach. He could be an isolated member.
Чино и Придокси обаче ще може да вземат карта Кинг. На косъм.
PH in. They're actually choosing to kind of rotate away from Rangers Ruin, and that's a conscientious decision. Go for eliminations, go for points, go for Storm Surge instead of sitting back, not knowing if that other team is still alive, and going for XP. These are the 2 different paths, and they're taking this one.
Talk about a silver lining though for Prodoxy
and
Gino. They're left all alone at Rangers Ruin, deciding for that early departure, but Peterbot, Ritual, Cold, they've struggled to really find a home with their initial drops just because they've been trying to go all around the map, and yet again, lobby number 3, we are seeing them try a slightly different approach here, but the result is still all the same currently, Jacob. They're at Dystopia City, and they're waiting to see when they're going to be able to try and take advantage of this contested area. But Tinka,
това е all-C тима, с който се бият между другото.
Trailing so close behind, it's making it really difficult for Peterbot, Gold, and Ritual to actually take advantage of vulturing some of the leftovers here at Dystopia.
And I just got my eyes glued to the mini map right now, and I'm counting 1,
Ваня Кумира от Канада.
One of them's Kazi, Tika, and Aspect. So I'm thinking right now, where is
Hello.
Epic, well, Victor V, and Paper? Maybe an early battle between Tay and a full trio is Swizzy, Merstash. Two different bases towards the sky, and with the zone pulling a whole different direction this game than the previous two, it looks like it's pulling south, maybe a western lean. Swizzy and Merstash and Queasy, they have the luxury of waiting for all these teams from the north to rotate down into them, and that means easy surge for the first place team.
And Merstash wasting absolutely zero time alongside Swizzy, locking in some of these early surge tags. A little bit of hide and seek, but it's going to be Merstash coming out on top yet again. Goofy knock, but you have to remember...
Вау, това е крейзи, че даже го показват между Search трейда. Той ноква Goofy и даже не сплифа билдинг.
Needed to watch his back, but he's still got Tisco maybe to try and bring things up into fruition. But Salco Arc School, they pose too much of a threat here, and Tisco will be eliminated. That's just an easy cleanup.
83 точки за тях.
You said it yourself. Arc is playing fantastic as an individual the entirety of the week leading up to this, taking 1v1s against anybody who's taking that challenge. And now something coming from him, NA West. This could be a big make or break moment for his entire Fortnite career. As Reed, Cooper, Curly, same position we saw them in that last game, just at the edge of the zone. They're just trying to get as much Storm Surge as possible. Not sure who that is on the other side. Baka's team, Mansour's team. Those are the two possibilities it could be.
There's one thing that Peterbot certainly got intentions leaning towards. It's maybe trying to key Maria's Vanya and Pixie, but underneath, does he even know? Does he even realize? Victor V, Paper, and Epic Whale, they've decided maybe we should just bring the paddle straight to Peterbot Gold and Ritual. Why are we the ones waiting to see whether or not they're going to stick around and hover inside of Dystopia City? Still, Epic Whale, not necessarily primed with that loadout for fighting. And for that reason, and probably knowing that there's another team in that area, it's just best not to take that fight.
Yeah, it's just not easy to get the loadout that you want, especially when you're triple contested. And then a fourth team makes their way on over. So I think they made kind of the heads-up play to focus on staying alive, prioritizing position, realizing we can get a loadout, we can get Storm Surge elsewhere. Visuals, Braids, and a Minish. Business as usual for them. They land over towards Foxy. I think as soon as they realize its own...
Брат, какво е това име? Алуя, Фола къса, XZ4.
And this is kind of a little bit of different kind of pacing of the game that we're seeing in game number 3 here. Instead of the all-out aggression, it looks like they're kind of playing more to what a lot of teams have practiced, which is Storm Surge bases.
Оу. Е, тук това вече е различно. Нокват го и тогава ръшкат. Е, това вече е различно.
That's some big surge that they are getting online super early, and a handful of teams that have managed to have some success with these surge bases. But we have seen so many interventions, so many other teams, and that's something that Chad, Reason, and Mr. Savage don't take lightly. They're going to spend a little bit of extended time inside of these early storm picks. They don't mind it, and it's giving them a good idea of which direction they actually want to head, especially when you're scouting out some of those surge bases in the distance. They know there's going to be teams looking to try and hold on edge of zone.
Yeah, and then kind of add in the fact that neither one of these two games that we've had so far has went down to heal off. So it's kind of giving you more and more of that confidence, like, hey, I can stay a little bit longer in towards zone. I can try to figure out Storm Surge, especially if you're uncontested like they are. You could always
Поил се на медалона, ама съм много назаре в лидерборда.
HQ. Just as busy as we last left it, Pixie, Marius, and Vanya. They kind of got a huge base, basically a 3-room apartment. Everybody gets their own bathroom. They're just kind of replenishing a lot of those bills that they used to get there. You see the extra hills in and outside of their base, and they're just a hop, skip, and a throw away from the actual zone. The only thing that we do not know yet, Taco, is do they see Peterbot, Ritual, and Colt? Do they know that team is there?
They're likely pretty aware that there's somebody lurking. Whether they know that it's Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual directly, that'll have to be answered later on. But Victor V, Epic Whale, Paper, they diverted that initial path, and they find themselves directly underneath Curly and Cooper, trying to see if they can apply some pressure, get a little bit of damage going. But Victor V gonna get the worst end of that trade out.
and Epic Whale still looking to provide a little bit of coverage. They've just infiltrated the base that Reed, Cooper, and Curly once held.
Yeah, I like the decision though for Reed, Cooper, and
Питър Бот се остава повече от Койо. Питър Бот е 27-ми, мисля.
They say, hey, we gotta focus on this. Agers, Acorn, Pollo. This time around, they're getting to play their side of the overall map. We're seeing it pulling towards the south, but Demon's debris kind of just on the outskirts inside of the zone. So they're watching and seeing every team that rotates on over from that mountain. You got to think Alex and Nam reside there towards the south of that mountain. Toyota, Rise, Yuma, they landed over at Canyon. So they're just trying to take advantage of every team that might not be quick to the punch.
But it's still crazy to see that quick stat for Acorn's team, that they didn't take a single tick of surge all throughout the regular season majors. But here on the global level, they have been struggling back-to-back matches, finding a good grasp of that surge damage threshold. Right now, game 3 though, halfway point technically speaking for day 1. They had the opportunity. We just saw what Prodoxy, Pablo, and Chino were able to accomplish in that last lobby. When you're able to secure over 80 points in a singular match, you're still always in the running.
Yeah, on pace. Outside of maybe getting that victory royale where you do get the 9 extra points going from second to first place. So all you need is, a win, but 10 eliminations, that's about a 105 game. Close the gap in an instant. We already saw that out of a few teams so far. Pixie, Marius, and Vanya, they're just rotating all around. You saw them go from OXR HQ. They took that massive launch pad with the Flowberry Fizz to take over the Shining Span Bridge, prioritizing their rotation. Not really worrying about anybody else that's there. Epic. They're still here, but
Фридокси, не знам. Те оцеляха в спаун и умряха.
Tragedy there for Pablo as he's fully cleaned up too, so that's going to be a wipeout for Prodoxy's
Голд е умрял.
They'll have to sit and deliberate, figure out what they want to do for game 4 instead, but Ritual and Peterbot still trying to work side by side. The problem is they are so split from each other, Jacob. The moment that Ivcho clicks or Higgs might realize, hey, there's a primed up opportunity here to just outright key, but doesn't seem as if they're aware of that situation just yet.
And already we saw Cooper, Reed, and Curly try to rotate on out. But now they're running into a whole nother team, and Cooper's going to be the first one dropped. That's Snowy. Todd is still alive. Even though they do lose one, they have a numbers advantage. They can play for the revive, and I think Reed might know that just a little bit, trying to go for pressure underneath, break it through the wall. The Beast Control does not go over. They do a quick peek. Both teams kind of missing those shots, though. Reed has to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. They are inside of the zone, so in theory, Taco, Ryu, Snowy, and Todd have no reason to rotate out.
That little bit of a whip, though, from Reed might come back to haunt him here because Todd, Snowy, and Ryu in that 3 versus 1. This is so optimal for them to continue to apply steady pressure. They recognize Reed has no other choice except to try and live, to try and escape, and they are just ripping him apart from the sky. Every single crash pad, sure, it's taking them one step further, but fortunately for Reed, Marius, Pixie, and Vanya provide a little bit of that buffer zone. They're going to force Sod and Ryu back, but Reed, he is still pinned down, stuck along the beach face underneath Shining Span.
Yeah, don't miss you wonder, like, does he even have a singular reboot card, let alone 2? He really had no choice but to disengage out of there because they will try to push a solo in that situation. But Malibuca, Walks, pings, 25 points through 2 games so far. Couple teams need to go down about 7. He can start getting some of those placement points. But for now, they're just kind of focusing on one thing and one thing only, Storm Surge. That's going to open up the world in terms of flexibility the later this game goes on.
And this time, Malibuca's team not being third-partied now means that they've got a little bit more of that luxury room to try and get their Surge locked in, going up against Yapko and Panzer in a separate Surge base. Good ways across from them. Yuma, Toyota, and Rise, though, we saw the success they finally had with taking care of Veno's team, and now the question becomes, can we see a Prodoxy Tyson type of performance? Can they convert this to a strong endgame finish?
Hey, you know the entire region usually kind of has some tricks underneath their sleeve that they save for big moments just like this. A Swizzy, Queasy, Merstad, they're just making their way on.
Те отварят някакъв волт, който още не е отворен. Койо даже не се отише за волта. Вау, взимат AR, бе, брат. Бах ти късмета.
And putting it in Swizzy's hand, honestly, is very, very scary for the rest of the lobby.
And looted and booted, that is for sure. Mustache, Swizzy, Queasy, they've got so much time to work with in comparison to a lot of these other teams that are likely feeling a bit more pressured, a bit more pushed into trying to manifest some sort of surge damage just to be able to find the same type of rotates. Queasy, we'll have to see what he gets up to later on. We know they love to look for height, and they are setting up very early on, Jacob, strong loadouts to take over.
A tough situation, depending on where the zone continues to go for a lot of these teams towards the south. They're trying to make this part of the map their home base and kind of wait for a lot of the teams towards the north, towards the west to start to try and rotate in. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid, almost 700 damage above the threshold. Now they're going to surpass that with a couple shots being landed. And they're just peeking through the cone right now. They already are in zone. They're just trying to figure out how many teams are around them, what teams are there as well, and what teams are rotating in. Ritual, Cold, Peterbot, that's going to be one that they focus on for a quick and short moment, landing some damage onto Ritual, forcing them down further towards their glide, just kind of making sure they can't get priority position.
The real trick in a set lobby like this, though, is finding those shots, but not receiving any in return. Peterbot, Ritual, Cold, though, they've got to take this fight up against AJ and Rajito. They need a recovery point. They've managed to bring back off the reboot, but this is a fight that they're going to have to optimally turn into their favor. It's a little bit scattered right now, but they're just so low on that surge. They don't have any other options. They have to keep trying to apply pressure, but they might not get the chance. The surge is going to take care of them alongside Rajito. Just an easy come up.
I am at a loss for words. After 3 games so far, they have failed to place inside of the top 17. That's where those placement points begin. They are in 31st place on the leaderboard, and it can only get worse if any of those teams below them are still alive. From the bottom side to the top side, Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache. That's going to be one thing, because they see every single player that goes down. They see every single trio that gets eliminated, and when you see them go down for Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache, even Clixy, Ivcho, and Higgs, that's got to be a confidence boost.
Everybody just looking like a rags to riches comparison from what we just witnessed, but Ivcho, Clicks, Hits, they're still trying to take advantage of their convenient positioning here. They're spraying all of these teams that are just stuck on the congestion inside that edge of zone, teams that are fighting to try and lock in a little bit more surge, and Phaser, he is going to fall. Ivcho, a little bit too accurate, and Clicks just still continuing steady pressure application. These teams are not able to escape.
Yeah, I think they saw it at the corner of the eye. Another not going down, a whole nother team, but they know if they can continue to focus in that direction, they can probably try to get the wipe. But on high ground, we're finally getting that peak. Poyo, Agers, and Acorn, but they're 69 damage below the threshold, which is surprising, because we're at the Kappa factory towards the south side of the map. They have been granted the zone majority of this game, but just unable to really find the shots to put it to use, and they're falling further and further below.
They've got to be real careful. Team sitting inside the building. Agers just doesn't care. Mountain gonna be immediately eliminated. Just a max pop shot. Poyo now looking to follow suit here. They are feeling so confident. They know they got Goopy locked in their sight. Finds the next elimination. There's their surge at last.
Locked and loaded, ready to go. And this is a team right here, right? When you got Poyo on this team, when you got Agers on this team, Acorn, debatably one of the best IGLs in Fortnite, them going down early, that's like poking the bear. That's like poking the bear in the wilderness, and that's something I would never do. And now they're here in this game, and they're out for redemption.
The problem right now that I'm thinking about, Jacob, is Queasy loves to look for height right around this period, right around that 8th zone time frame. But with Acorn now looking much healthier, and a mastermind IGL in his own right, you have to anticipate that there's going to be a very strong challenge for height between those two teams. And that's not even considering other trios in the lobby like Vanya, Marius, Pixie, all of these experienced veterans that know full well what type of potential high ground holds, especially with the zones falling over this part of the map. It is a very strong pinpoint location. So many teams are going to have to burn through materials in those lower layers.
Yeah, and you can kind of see in the minimap, majority of the teams, even with the zone currently opening up, are like on that 50, where the half and half actually was. and even further south. Nobody really wanted to make that move because you know as well as I do, inadvertently with the crash pads, Flowberry Fizz, it just makes you an open target. A Savage Chat reads, and they're getting a little bit more aggressive, trying to take advantage of Merim, Buyu Ryu. They're underneath as well. I think Wixie might still be alive. Nope, saw it in the feed. Queasy's gonna take him down, so Savage Chat reason, even with 2 eliminations, almost 900 damage above the threshold. They're feeling good.
Agers, Poyo, Acorn, depending on which direction they head next. I was going to say they might need to be wary of Mr. Savage's team, but instead it's going to be secondary height as the focal point. They're just getting sprayed out, though. Their builds not being allowed to fully lock through Yuma, Trise across the way. But no! We thought those 2 eliminations that Agers just secured would be enough, but the surge threshold, they just climbed to such a high level, Jacob. They're still sitting 99 below, even with 3 eliminations. Finally, they're going to tick over into just 3 above, but it's still not enough. They can't find a footing until they get more surge.
They are just burning through materials. Even with that elimination on the Rise, they are not going to be able to get a lot of that loot. It's going to go to the wayside, and now they have to worry about their rotation, feeding them the punch. Arc Skull and Salco, they might be below the damage threshold, but Poyo, Agers, Acorn focusing on this rotation because they know it's not going to get easier. In fact, only 7 builds onto Agers. It's going to get harder and harder unless they find that key refresh.
But look at Arc Skull and Salco, they're a little bit beat up here. Still, Mr. Savage, they're immediately trying to cut straight to the front side. Might have been a little bit too ambitious here. Has taken notice. Chap, no shield, no time to recover it just yet either. Mr. Savage doesn't have any white heals to his name. They've got to just fight it out with teams directly behind them. But Chap finally getting the opportunity. He's trying to see if he can replenish just enough to really frag out here for his team. Sod, Snowy, Ryu though doing a great job holding him. And Poyo stuck in the same booth.
Not good for Braids and Visuals. They're going to get eliminated, but Poyo is going to get dropped. Agers still taking a lot of damage. They're trying to use the crash pad to get out, but just stuck in zone. They go down, and it's Queasy, it's Swizzy, and it's Mustache yet again.
Poyo не мислех, че ще се справя толкова зле.
But the ones lighting up the feed down below, a whole different ball game. Iamzo, Clicks, and Higgs, they are in the mud right now, having to figure out where they're going to go in the zone. It's slightly moving up over that mountain. They realize no other team is in their path. It's now or never.
But the problem is they've got Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache on height, beaming everybody underneath them. These guys are applying so much steady and consistent pressure that nobody's having a chance to look up just yet. They've spotted out a team tunneling through. It's Malibuka and Walks trying to see if they can break through from that secondary height position, but with Queasy now overtaking the front side, overtaking front side height. Now everybody else stuck underneath. This is everything for Queasy, Mustache, and Swizzy.
And just in the back pocket,
7 килоса отново на хайграунд.
Slapberry Fizz, which heals HP, a just in case, but up goes Pixie. They're trying to go for that opportunity, but Mario says, no, 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 we need to disengage. We cannot go for it, at least not right now. But he's taking so much damage on his way down. But Swizzy distracted for a short moment. A lot of his shields go out the window. Luckily for him, his entire trio is still there. 2,000 damage above the threshold. They won last game with 12 eliminations, and they're well on their way to do it again.
And that's the problem for everybody else in this lobby, is that Queasy, he is just tarping fully unleashed. Nobody there to stop his pad. 2 of them, the best fraggers in the world by his side. And Kanada, he is down and out for the count. Bolts, Rapid, trying to see if they can secure a strong, at least break into that top 5 placement maybe. But Iamzo, Higgs, also a little bit scattered here. Iamzo's gonna fall.
Higgs
who's trying to come up big time here. Big elimination though for Higgs. Gonna buy him a little bit of a lifeline. He's doing everything he can to try and play through this backside of zone. The Siphon's still carrying him just a bit further. But Marius, Vanya, Pixie, they're looking to layer swap. They know they don't have enough. Marius taking out the moment that he tried to chop through.
Живее 98 точки.
1 second cost him what could be an opportunity here. Pixie's just trying to make it to the front side of the zone. He's just getting cut down every step of the way, but finally reuniting with Vanya. This is their moment. They have to figure out a way to make this count. They're missing a huge chunk of HP.
Queasy може би ще имат second game, third game win. Second in a row. Savage добре се справят. Обаче Ваняк за хая. Ваняк умира. О, мага! 10 кила в момента. 11. Те са да без, брат. 253.
This is it. It's basically all EU here in the end game. Chap down below, trying to make a play. He's gonna get cut short. Reason as well.
Wow, 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 wow.
But no, the entire trio ends up back in the lobby. Swizzy has finally come down. He's ready to steal this game away. They have 12.
Те се спочнаха на макс обаче. 3 в 3 в 1. Мега стак.
With no materials, picks also no materials. Ivcho lurking directly behind the team on low ground.
3 в 3, 3 в 3, падат. Олеле! Куизи печелят, брата, отново. 6 човека, брате, и никой не строи се едно игра с Zero Build. Дропнаха всички, брат. Само стреляне. О, мага. 15 кила. Win. Гейм 2. Няма кой да ги настига, брат. Аз ви казвам.
Into the global championships. They said that this competition was going to be owned by North America, but right now it's being owned by the High Ground Kings. How was that game? Just a complete repeat of the second.
I mean, we're just playing our game, that's it. Just playing endgame, playing height, and that's it. Nothing more.
But why isn't anyone able to challenge you for that height right now? We've got huge names. In fact, in that last game, all of our top 5 trios made it to the end game, but you still came out on top.
I mean, I feel like it's the hardest of the hardest. It's hard to have a good mid game. A lot of teams are contested, so just hope we stay uncontested and we'll probably win.
You mentioned being uncontested. You may regret that. Benji, à toi.
Yeah, Swizzy, excuse me, Swizzy. Man, 3 games, 2 victory royale. What's your secret, guys? What's your secret?
Take height, don't die.
Le secret, c'est de prendre la hauteur et de pas mourir. Have you got any words for your fans, for the gentleman fans?
Jungle. That's it. Jungle.
Janto. Thank you, guys.
Mustache, what an incredible global championship for you so far.
Yes,
is it all
crazy,
about
bro.
the calls that this man is making, or is it all the chants that the M8 fans are making?
It's everything. Crazy, Agile Gold, fans, crazy, just best fans ever. Can't ask for better fans.
They're definitely proving themselves to be some of the most incredible fans in esports right now.
Заради таймзона. Те вече са свикнали, те са там от втори или трети.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be evaluating everything so far.
Вижте каква е разликата, брат. Канада е second place. Вижте разликата между първо и трето място. Първи са с 16 кила са го, нали, даже убили се и солото. Първи за 11, първи са 16, четвърти с 3. Айдроп са четвърти. Пикс, Дарм, Демос, пети, Сети, Ябко, Панзър са трети. Кликс са 6, брат. 8, 6, 8, топ 6. Мистър Савич, 7. Кинг са 9. Ако не бяха умрали тази игра, щяха са топ 3 буквално. Ако не бяха умрали тази игра, топ 30, 100%. Щяха да вземат килове. Втори с 13 кила и още държат топ 3 между другото. Ако не бяха умрели тя две оспаунчета, ама то така е. И тима, който ги имат едно място зад тях, Редокси. Те взеха оспауна, обаче дойде друг тим от Middle East и грифнаха ги просто и нямаше как да продължат. Но нека да видим 32 са Питър Бот, брат.
Even though he's overhead, Benno has the shield, HP advantage. Benno still breaking through, doesn't get the shot that he wanted to, but taking a huge chunk of his HP now. Yoda still seeing, I think apply a little bit of pressure on the backup section, but Benno, even in the 1 versus 2, he refuses to budge. That is aura.
Oh, he finally gets the knock on the reset, and that was huge. That was 200 IQ coming out of Veno, because Vico was down. Koyoda went down to finish off that elimination, which gave him a huge 1v1, and with a third party coming in, Alex and On and Rise have had enough, as Veno's going to be the one that cleans up that elimination. But what do you do from here? You do have a chance to get the reboot cards, but your POI has now just went to someone else.
The problem in the red alert there is that everybody knows that it's just Veno by himself. That reboot is going to be tough to make it towards, but Gabzetta, Scarpa away, already tangled up here. Snowy on the loops, trying to get the nice knock, transitioning into the elimination here. Way, Scarpa, Gabzetta, they're now in the driver's seat, and Ryu, Sod, potentially heading for the hills instead. No, they're willing to clash head on. They still don't want to depart.
We're getting 4 times the point in that last game, but for Ryu and Sod, they gotta really try to figure out a way to win this fight or get the reboot card and disengage. 80 points, they're on their way up that leaderboard. For Way, Scarpa, and Gabzetta, this is almost a must. They've been landing all around the map throughout the earlier games so far. Last one you saw them lurk up out over to Ranger's Ruin, but they just haven't really defined that success. And this is a great opportunity with a mismatch and a numbers advantage to try to pick up these 2 more eliminations. And most important, the loot and the position to build those surge towers.
But Way, Scarpa, Gabzetta, they're still not done with this just yet. Sod and Ryu are causing enough of a delay, and if both of these teams aren't careful, a third party could definitely enter the mix. They've got to find these quicker eliminations here. Sod, though, having a very tough time. The material count's running so incredibly low. Nobody's really had a chance to recuperate anything just yet, but Way, Scarpa, Gazetta now approaching from a separate angle. Sod completely pinpoint isolated. He can't get the backup he needs. Way just continuing to close in here. Scouting out. Okay, Sod overhead. No, it's just Ryu instead. Sod taken out. Ryu nearly out of this one, but just doing his best, and it's just not good enough when you're dealing with the full trio of Way, Scarpa, and Gabzetta.
Yeah, with those eliminations, you see the rank upgrade drops coming in. It's not going to be the biggest difference maker, but it's definitely a good more loot than what they had before. Dystopia City, Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold, they've had enough of playing the drop spot roulettes. They knew coming into this event it was a triple contested fight, and now they're taking the fight to Tay-Tay. This one's personal as Ritual gets the first Cold putting in some work as well. 2 or 3v1 situation here on the ride-up, but it's not going to last too long. They have finally woken up. Enough poking the beast, because now they got what they wanted.
I mean, you're talking about poking the bear, and take a look at what Veno's managed to do in some of that downtime since he found those early 3 eliminations against Koyota's team. Flixi, Vico, now back up and in the running here. This is a real opportunity, Jacob, because they've got a couple of other teams that might be a little bit too prioritized with each other, a little bit too fixated elsewhere to scout these guys out inside the tunnelway.
Yeah, I was looking at the mini-map right now. I saw another team potentially rotating in this direction, but it was outside of the mountain range instead of in. So not too risky just yet, as Muzz, you see just a huge chunk of HP missing, along with Sphinx. And to start the game off, I did see Muzz get at least 1 knock. The drop spot for that team on the other side was just too far, giving him that advantage. And that's just kind of that early surge, and that's early confidence building for a team like that.
The real unsung hero, though, for Queasy this weekend so far, Jacob, has just been the fact that he's uncontested. If this is what an uncon Queasy can look like on a global stage, then I cannot wait to see exactly how the entirety of this weekend plays out, but don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Reasons, Alex, Anon, just taking a more slow and steady approach. Oceania has had its fair share of struggles throughout the course of today's matches, and for good reason. It's just very difficult when you are stuck in between some of these teams that are just these pre-established surge bases. It can be very hard to cut through, work around, and they're dropping so far south of the map, Jacob. They just don't have as much resources.
Yeah, definitely kind of changing things up for this game. They knew coming into this with the drop spot they had, the hardest part wasn't necessarily loot, not even materials. It was getting up and over that mountain to try to get in a good position for the game. It's called Ritual and Peterbot. You see them sneaking up, using the bush, the Flowberry Fizz, and the Crash Pad. That picks Darm and Demas on the other side. The revive is fresh. Two of them are weak, and that's going to be easy pickings. They continue to put this pressure down. Cold trying to be the first one in. Demas is the one that's getting angled out and pressured by two different players. Ritual is going to be there on the other side, but it's going to slow things down for only a short moment. Looks cold. He's realizing the bait and switch. My teammate is weak. I have to continue to put pressure out. It doesn't matter who it is.
Те пък как оцеляха, бе, брат. 110 флаша, човек.
All they want to do is jump into somebody else's box that's not their own, but Peterbot is going to be forced to take a halt. He knows that he has to try and fight this team underneath them or just leave entirely. Demas, Darm, and Pix, they've done enough. They have pushed back, and Peterbot is pushed out of the location.
Kind of get a little bit confident there for Cold, Ritual, and Pete as they continue to kind of rotate on out. Surprisingly enough, they didn't kind of continue to stay over towards Dystopia, but what they left it, Baka, Pars, and Pump actually moved in. They're at a contested drop for themselves, north side of this actual POI, so they're just trying to get scraps. They're just trying to get any bit of surge, and right now, they spotted Cold and his entire trio rotate back towards Dystopia, and they're just trying to lurk. They're trying to get the heads-up play and an opening damage shot so that maybe they can finish it up.
Take a little peeksies, though, at what's breaking down. The Kanata Rapid and Bolts. The elimination feed might be telling an entirely different story there, though, for what's shaping up here at Dystopia. Pump, Pars, Baka, finding that elimination onto Peterbot now means that they are all good to go for trying to key in onto Ritual and Cold. Pars already overhead. Baka right next to him. Pump, separate angle as well. There's just so many flank attempts here, but Cold, Peterbot knows that he's got to depend on his other fragger here, and Cold could come up big time.
Hey, before Peterbot went on this huge tear for the scene, it was Cold everyone was worried about. And I remember back at the Invitational 1v2 to get his teammate back into the game and try to get them that good positioning that they had. Baka, Pars, and Pump. I do like this right now. They're kind of testing the outskirts. They're not taking that big risk scenario of moving in towards these buildings. They know they're lurking around. They know with the double pump, 2v1 situation, they can easily try to catch any bit of this damage. So for Cold and Ritual, they just got to continue to play sneaky. One has a med kit. So Taco, this is not the last we've seen of them.
Yeah, but the problem still remains, Jacob. They're going to have to deal with Baka, Pars, and Pump, who are very likely, they look as if they're keen, set on setting up to prevent Cold and Ritual from actually leaving Dystopia. And if Cold and Ritual attempt to make a reboot inside of Dystopia, they are going to be immediately pounced upon by Baka, Pars, and Pump. They have so many medkits, they can afford to stick around in these early zone ticks.
And you can see in the top 5, obviously Queasy's team pulling far ahead. 33 points to get into the top 5. 1 point behind is going to be Yamzo, Clicks, and Higgs, who've honestly been playing decently well, but they just haven't caught that stride, that momentum shift that we know a team like this can have, especially with Clicks and Higgs from Xset. They're kind of the fraggers, the duo from this team. And then you got Yamzo, the IGL, the mastermind of this squad. As soon as they start to feel that confidence, it's going to be a huge momentum shift.
But you know what? You got to give Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo their flowers, because most people on socials did not have them anywhere near this spot on the leaderboard. They've been holding their own as Panzer, big shot onto Mansour. That's going to be a huge opening now, and Yapko seemingly energized by that, just following it up. Panzer with a third elimination now onto Belor. They are getting active so early on.
Yeah, 6 eliminations. They play against Tinka as his trio off spawn. And it does look like somebody tried to rotate in and potentially Instead, his former teammate, Cammy, Hottie, and iDrop over from that Shining Span bridge. They're trying to focus on getting as much storm surge as possible, which is why you see them so deep and so far into the zone. But with every team rotating on out, they're going to use that as their cue to make their rotation as well, and just kind of minimizes a little bit of the risk of the teams they will actually run into and the danger they'll face.
Checking back in now, though, with Chap, Mr. Savage, and Reason. These guys have really just been sticking to their own game plan, and a lot of that entails spending some additional time inside of those early storm takes. They know that they don't have anybody contesting them, and kind of
Yes, I don't
surprised,
know.
Jacob, that no one has decided to try and actually challenge Mr. Savage's team in that northwest position, but they've done an excellent job at just creating so much space and playing their search trades where necessary.
Yeah, you see, it's a whole different ball game when you are uncontested. Vanya, Pixie, Marius, they're trying to continue to find their stride, just like some of these other teams in this lobby. 110 points, definitely above most of the lobby, but not where they had hoped to be at this point in time. Pings, Malibuca, and Walks, probably the same thing could be said for them, rotating from that uncontested outpost over towards Foxy Floodgates. But even though they're not in zone just yet, Taco, you're seeing they're running into so many other trios. Baka's team, Pix, Darm, and Demus as well. And even if they find a way to get to the other side, there's a 4th team on the mountain looking in this direction.
But the real problem that I'm recognizing right now, Jacob, is that you've got several of some real heavy hitter trios surrounding Foxy Floodgate, and I'm thinking about Cold, Ritual, Peterbot way back over towards Dystopia. They're gonna have to eventually break through these teams who are already fixated in much better positions.
It's gonna be tough on that side of the map, but taking a little bit look closer towards the center. There's a little bit more flexibility around, just a whole different game here. There are a couple teams into the mix, but you're seeing no one in relatively close danger. King Phaser, P8 Zin, they have their surge base. You see not too far off, Agers, Acorn, and Pollo. They're going to be able to get a little bit of that hive spot because you see Mustache, Queasy, and Swizzy rotating yet again to one of these bunkers. And the interesting thing about this team is because they do get the hive, because they are uncontested, and you look at the Demon's Debris and Dystopia where it doesn't necessarily spawn there, Ranger's Ruin too far away. It's so early on in the game, but they're rotating all the way to the eastern side of the map to get these bunkers that they know no one else can get. And this is the 5-head type play that's coming out of Queasy, and it almost makes you wonder if he wins here to this weekend, is he #1 in the all-time list?
Undisputed GOAT of IGLing without a singular doubt in my mind, Jacob. He's already considered one of the best, if not the best, IGL in the world based off his past couple of years with Global's performances. And it's just impeccable to think of what they've been able to accomplish here today, because sure, you can be first on the leaderboard, but to go back-to-back with victory royales, that's a different beast entirely. And it's going to be very difficult for anybody else to play catch-up. You have to remember, there were teams in this same position. Queasy was in this position. He was the one down below, but can't finish that thought just yet. Striker, Tisco holding their own here. Art, School, Salco, they need a little bit of a recovery point, a little bit pinched here at Sakura Stadium, just so far west of the map. They know it's only a matter of time before a third party makes the intervention here, but Art, School, Salco, they've got one knock. Striker, just seeing if he can try hold the wall, but he's not gonna be able to break away. Art just relentlessly chasing him down, and sure enough, that's gonna be 4 eliminations now in total for School, Salco, and Arc.
Hey, they're sticking to the game plan, but the game plan has now have a wrench into the mix. Veno, Vico, Flixie, they're making their way on over. This could be 2 of the most aggressive teams in their respective region going head-to-head, but Veno, he makes the call, maybe a little bit too close for comfort. They try to disengage just a little bit, but you see they didn't take the full distance onto that crash pad. They have some materials they want to get back, but they want to control the pace of them and that team of Art, School, and Salco.
I mean, the ball's in their court. Vico, Veno, Flixie, they're just going to continue to play for positioning. They know that Art's trio is still locked in at Sakura Stadium, so they can afford to just kind of take those peek backs, see if they can keep applying tag pressure, but they are still trying to be wary of that team up on height on the mountainside peak. Payson, definitely a massive threat if they are not careful, but Pollo, Agers, Acorn, finally witnessing them be above that third threshold, and not just that, but 1,400 plus above, Jacob. It's got to be such a huge relief.
Yeah, to start the day, this is honestly the position I thought I would see this team in game after game after game, especially in game 3, where the zone favored over towards their drop spot. They were just unable to convert and really make it work. And you see the leaderboard with 51 points. They find themselves in 24th third place. I think you could have quizzed anybody in the Fortnite community and they thought that would have been impossible, but Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual probably in the same spot, only 77 damage above the threshold. And it looks like they're going to try to take the fight to Baka, Pars, and Puff. Remember, this is the team that initially got that knock onto Peterbot, probably causing this downward spiral of the Storm Surge being a worry, but they're taking it personal, box to box. They're ready to go in, and this is the style of fighting that we know Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual look for, but he takes another massive shot. I don't know what Pump and Baka ate today, but they are ready to play.
The problem is nobody is backing down from Ritual
Peter
Bolt
Bolt,
or
Peter Bolt,
Peterbot.
Rhino,
Baka, Pars, and Pump have them fully squeezed inside of this tiny little crevice, and if that wasn't bad enough, they're also having to deal with a third party up on the high ground. Cold, Ritual, Peterbot, they're doing everything they can to try and buy themselves a little bit more time, but they know the clock is working against them. They're only just short of 200 above that damage threshold, Jacob, but they need more, and they need builds. They don't have any materials. It's all on Cold. Peterbot is just left in tatters because of that start.
Yeah, it's just a tough situation to be in because it's almost playing that mind game, the tricks of, hey, maybe I do have to fight. I need a refresh. I will not be able to get materials elsewhere. And with a team that's honestly been a terror to the entire NA Central region. This is kind of a surprise, and you've been saying it. Nobody's backing down. Honestly, Papa Pollo said it as well. Peterbot plays mind games with all of you guys. He gets into your head, and that's why he's so successful. But guess what? No more mind games. I think everybody is ready to fight back.
Well, it doesn't need to be mind games because with Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache making the approach, Peterbot, Cold, Ritual, it's now or never. They've got to either dive in or they're going to find themselves getting absolutely pincered by several different teams. Baka, Pars, and Pump also know that same pressure could technically be applied to them if they're not careful. Seems like they might just want to break away here, create a little bit more space. They don't actually know what kind of position Peterbot and his team are in, but Baka cracking Peterbot's shields now means he could potentially try and press forward, but with Cold just steadily applying reverse pressure, he's making it very difficult, but the builds are running so low. Baka, Pars, Pump. Pars is down though.
Pars умира.
And Pump now left to try and recover the situation. What looked so promising at the start, Cold is trying to shut down, but Cold needs too much damage. He has to pull back. He's got to wait for Ritual and Peterbot to provide, alleviate that pressure, but Peterbot, Ritual now looking to try and dive forward. They need more surge.
Oh no, from bad to worse. Baka and them on the other side. They not only get the reboot, but the first knock onto Cold yet again. Earlier in this game, they took down Peter, they took down Cold, and they took down Ritual.
Еми, Питър Бот имам просто много малки игра на Finals. На one event.
But they just continue to make it feel impossible for Gold, Peterbot, and Ritual to perform here. But Clicks, Ivchou, his on the other end of that note, they're still trying to see if they can leapfrog their way into that top 5 position from the leaderboard. How many times have we seen strong performances convert to a big jump in placement? But Swizzy, Mustache, Queasy, as long as they stay tried and true to their strategy, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and they got such a good spot, not only because the high ground, but Taco, take a look. Where is the zone going? Over Foxy Floodgate. That means there's going to be so many different elevations that if it pulls all the way towards the east or even towards the north and then back down to the south, it is going to be a roller coaster of emotions. And Veno, Flixie, and Vico throughout the day has been going through just that. 269 below the damage threshold, even with Vino hitting a nice shot.
Ник и Вино, ама 53 damage само.
Facing right now, and that's why you see them scrambling, looking all around, trying to get information, figure out where they need to put their focus at.
They're likely going to have to drop to ultimate low and maybe try to play a pre-edit off of a back tarp. That would maybe be their best opportunity to find some big damage. Still, other teams are absolutely feasting here, and Veno's not going to get the chance from overhead. It's a minute. This is their backyard. Essentially,
Vico!
Heating up a Vico. He's not going to allow it. You take down one of my teammates. I'm going to take you with them. Braids having to play for the revive visuals. Just not going to be able to do it, though. And Flixie, Vico, This is a dynamic duo, though, Jacob. They could really make it work.
Yeah, they've kind of put an all-or-nothing situation going after the high ground. Even though they picked up eliminations, got some points, they have a max pull on the other side.
Еми на Пойо няма смисъл да скача, защото те не са first place.
Elevations that are going to start to come into play as Ivcho does it again, taking down a Minish, making sure to clean that one up. 4 more points out of the total as they get their 5th elimination of the game.
All the way hanging back now. So much pressure being applied to this top section of Foxy Floodgate. But they are right back at home. Queasy, Mustache, and Swizzy looking to control the dam, and that's the most important part of Foxy Floodgate. If you have the dam control, you have all of height.
Yep, top 17 though, this is where placement points are going to start to set in and cascade further with each and every team that does get wiped off the lobby. Mustache, Queasy, Swizzy, they are not
Swizzy пак има тая МК.
shaken, they're just terrorizing everybody.
Това вече е RNG, брат.
Really feeling the pain there, and that's because they have that bird's eye view. Nobody is contesting Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache on the high ground, and look exactly what's happening because of it.
There needs to be studies done on Queasy's brain because this position is absolutely unreal. Mr. Savage, Chap, trying to do what they can to push back against Swizzy's pressure, but it's just so difficult to try and take those bloom battles from overhead, Jacob. This is so much
И импова зона.
And Swizzy now trying to make sure that he doesn't find himself eating more damage than what he bargained for, but still he has Mustache to depend on. The moment that Swizzy's shields get cracked, he falls back, and Mustache...
Те ако уинат и тая игра, вече ще се знае победителя. Тая игра с 6 кила, ако уинат 8 даже, е овър.
You planned ahead, peek through the cone, get the information. Ivcho, Clicks, and Higgs are doing just that. They're not the highest up, they're not the lowest either, but they're assessing the situation. Do we need to drop down further? Or do you let a team like Pigstorm and Demas get in front of you and try to land the damage? But not everybody is feeling as safe. Not everybody is feeling as comfortable. 66 damage above the threshold. Yapko, Panzer, and Seti, even though they're inside of that top 10, they still need to make that consistency count.
But do they have any Flowberry Fizz or Crash Pads? Because it's going to be difficult for them to work their way up and down this elevation. But the way that the zones are pulling here, Mr. Savage, Reason, and Chap now trying to see if they can work their way up from the underbelly of the lobby. They've got a semi-isolated layer, but they're going to be forced to drop. They don't have the materials to keep tarping through that mid-ground section. And underneath, where all of the congestion is very likely to start pooling into, that's just open season now for Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache.
Savage team 2 points away from hitting that top 5. And the thing is, they were 1 point away, almost missing the major.
Май печеля 3.
They were 2 points in that last spot to secure
отново с мега на високото, брат.
Once again, almost 2,000 damage, back-to-back games above the threshold. Yapko, Panzer, Seti, they're feeling the pressure from up above. You see a huge lack of not only materials, but resources as well as he gets cut short. The wall breaks him off. He's going to go down, but for Yapko and Seti, this is everything.
They're still trying to see what kind of placement points they might be able to collect. Every little bit
Под
counts for that team. Vanya, secondary height, Cammy, Hottie, and Ivcho, they've also been rather quiet today, Jacob, but that could change in an instant. Mr. Savage, Reason, and Chap now trying to make sure that their back tarp is fully closed off, but Savage not having the opportunity yet to keep building through. Chap picking up where his IGL left off. That is always what you would hope for in a team. Ivcho is sadly going to have to play it through with just Higgs though, and this is a tough spot to be in. Unless Higgs finds a big elimination for the refresh.
That was not only points for the elimination, but placement points as well as the full trios wiped off the map. Acorn, Savage, King, Tayson all going down. Ivcho as well. A good shot being landed, but not good enough.
Queasy still on high ground.
Marius is the one who took down Poyo. Him and Vanya are feeling the pain as well because they have to do it without Pixie.
But they've at least got frontside low control, and that's going to have to be enough. They're going to need as many eliminations as possible because they need more materials. And we haven't even started the conversation of how to deal with Queasy, Swizzy,
Някой ги кона на хайде просто. Не. 5 кила имат.
I feel like I've seen this episode of Fortnite before. Game 2, Game 3, and it's looking like it could be possible for Game 4. 370 points and counting. Only 2 teams in front of them, both of them weak. Vanya trying to do what he can, but
Мана. 9 кила win maybe. Или? 3 в 1. Wow.
Skis of victory royales. Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache are setting a new precedent here in the 2025 Globals performance, Jacob. This is insanity what we are witnessing right now. And
4 игри, 3 победи, 3 на рол.
Frankie, let me know what else they have to say.
This is incroyable, Leon! Swizzy, please stand up. Can you believe this is happening?
Yeah, I knew we were gonna win.
You knew it. You are playing like you knew it too. Queasy, you've been to so many of these events, but I don't think this has ever happened to you. Back to back to back. Surely you can't believe what's happening right now.
I mean, I can. We practice a lot. So just lucky it's paying off right now. We need to just keep playing and hopefully we'll win.
It's been really interesting to also see what's happening with the North American teams. On the analyst desk, they were talking about the fact that in North America, the top teams are conditioning the lobby all the way through the season, but that's not happening on Globals. Is it simply a case of not fearing the competition, of not believing their hype?
I mean, we're just playing our play style. There's like nothing, like we're not going to play low ground if we don't know how to play low ground, so we're just staying on high and playing that, you know.
Actually, you did well for 3 games, for your team, but also for the crowd. Are you proud of that?
Yeah, I'm so proud. I'm proud of my fans. I'm proud of my teammates. Like, they're crazy.
And for you, will you keep the high ground for the next 9 games again?
I mean, the strat is take high, don't die. That's it.
Ils vont continuer comme ils peuvent, mais ils donnent beaucoup d'énergie pour vous. Ils sont très fiers pour vous et aussi leur communauté et surtout leur trio. Thank you very much. It's crazy. You have another word for your crowd over there just in front of you.
I mean, I want to thank to every fan that came here watching us, and even if you're not here but watching, I want to say thanks to everyone. It's biggest support ever.
Thank you.
Leon, one more time, please show your appreciation for Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache. We are heading to a break. We'll be back with game number 5.
Game number 5 on the day, right now.
Only 2 games left on the day. You heard Zeke say it himself. And that just means time flies when you're having fun. One of the best events I've ever been a part of in person. And honestly, it hasn't disappointed so far. Queasy just lighting things up, back-to-back-to-back wins. And honestly, these contested fights have been telling a lot of how the game goes.
And we're finally going to get a taste, too, of some different scenes here at Kappa Kappa Factory. Seti, Panzer, Yapko, they've been putting on quite the performance today, Jacob, but it starts with this off-spawn battle. If Panzer, Seti, and Yapko can convert another successful off-spawn here, Kazi and Aspect, Tinka, they could be in a world of trouble, but it's Marius, it's Peterbot, both of them are not, but Pixie, he's got the better end of this deal. Vanya's still lurking overhead, Cole trying to see if he can recover anything from this situation, but it's not gonna come to fruition just yet. In fact, Pixie, he's gonna even be able to play for the revive.
Peterbot не им един брат.
To chase down Cole just yet, but maybe after using some of these small shield motions, to feel a little bit more comfortable with that battle.
Insane scenes hit us yet again in Game 5. And it's just leaving Cold in such a tough spot. But I see it in the feed. Was that Paper? Was that Victor V? Was that Epic Whale? All going down at Dystopia. Meanwhile, Vanya, Marius, and Pixie, they have literally no time. They can do whatever they want. They have the reboot card, one on one side of the mountain, Peter's on the other side of the mountain, and they haven't even looted up their POI, which means they're going to spend so much time at the OXR HQ, which means it's going to take a risk in order to get Peterbot and Ritual back in the game.
Something that also occurred quite quickly here. SETI, 3 eliminations, by the way. We didn't get to see exactly where it happened, but we know that they've been having a lot of success here at the Kappa Kappa factory, and there's more trouble still stewing. A look back into Rangers Ruin. We know so much about this Osmond battle, and Chino opening up big time, but Chicho thought he was going to be able to 180 that occurrence. Still Tayson.
Oh, Tayson with the one knock.
Manages to knock Chino, but this is just
with the second knock
right now. Still the big day holding it down. Pablo though still trying to
see
punch his ticket in this lobby, and he holds it for his team.
A big win in that 1v1 against Tayson, but the team that has been putting on a show since game 2, in game 3, and in that last one as well, back-to-back wins, and you can see their first team to win 3 consecutive games at an FNCS LAN, and that's putting them so far ahead of everybody else. So even if they find themselves in a position where they're not winning the game, still top 8, top 5, that's still going to keep their lead intact.
But the conversation that I have to open up here, Jacob, is when we think about last year's Global Championship even, Queasy and Thomas HD were in this exact position as everybody else in the lobby. They were staring at that leaderboard. They were staring at Peterbot and Pollo running away with it. And then day 2 came to play. And Queasy manifested a huge performance to play so much catch-up. So while it might look very, I don't say impossible, but unlikely, I still think that there's opportunity for somebody else to try and play catch-up. But day 1 definitely seems like
Някакви азиатци брате се пробват да убият. Предокси да решат пеят.
Below Queasy on that leaderboard just has to keep it respectively close and regroup for tomorrow. Chino, Pablo, Prodoxy, even though they win that fight, one team has already moved over, and you can see in the minimap another team, King Phaser, PX in. They're trying to make their presence known. Madim Buriuriru and Wixie are there as well. These are our 3 teams from 3 different regions trying to lurk and make Rangers ruin their home as Wixie's gonna get to 3-2-1, and he instantly goes down. Brazil strikes quick.
0 chance to even try and close that wall lock. And that is painful way to go out, but King Phaser fully on the come up here. Gino, Prodoxy, Pablo, they can hear those shots nearby. They know that there is another party rolling into the vicinity. Still, they're locked down. Mirim, Buiriru, 2s in a sea of 3s, and this is not the spot to be, but they don't really have a chance to get out just yet. They need Gino, Prodoxy, and Pablo to fight against Phaser, King, and PHN to see if they can maybe slip away.
So the Queen just going ahead and blasting onto some of these boxes. Seeing it giving away the position just a little bit. King, Phaser, they know they're there on the other side, but they don't know exactly where they're located at, which means PHN is just trying to get some high ground, some elevation, that eagle eye view so he can look over the land and figure out where everybody's at, taking their time. And these are the type of fights right here with people lurking around, crouching to hide those audio visuals. If you make the wrong play, it's a huge risk for that little reward.
But the material just favors so heavily into Brazil's hands. Chino, Pablo, and Prodoxy, because of that early off-spawn battle with Tayson, they haven't actually had a chance to really farm anything up in comparison to King Phaser and PXN, who are just now stealing away this Queen currently at Rangers Ruin. Prodoxy realizing we can't just let this go for free. They try to see if they can intervene, but it's just not an option that's afforded to them just yet because Marim, Buyuriru still lurking nearby. It's not a favorable option, and they know it's likely best to potentially disengage.
Yeah, and you can see it because they have control of the high ground and the whole outside. They're starting to target down that Queen. As you see in the feed, the cleanup is complete. Cold goes down, and another 0-point game for what was looking like the most dominant team coming into this event. A huge wake-up call as they're in 30th place, but for Vanya, Pixie, and Marius, that's just one step closer to that first place spot.
And for Vanya, Pixie, and Marius, they don't want to lose sight of the primary objective, and that is just to keep securing the strong end game placements. Every little bit counts if you're looking to try and play catch up to Queasy at this point. And Jeff, Frieza, and Mr. Savage, another team where there's been so much praise on Chap's shoulders, and for good reason. You could even argue that if it weren't for Chap, Mr. Savage and Reason might not even be at the Global Championship right now. But the Major 3 performance, that's something that we're still waiting for Chap to just have that highlight game.
That's a really good point because Mr. Savage was done. Mr. Savage said, I retired. It was great playing Fortnite, but I think it's time for the next step in his journey. Well, the next step was coming out of retirement, qualifying by such mere points. It was destined to happen to see him here and playing as extraordinarily well as they have been so far. Malibuka, Walks, and Pings, you can see them set up just outside the Outpost Enclave, just trying to trade off shots into the distance. And against Poyo, Agers, and Acorn. And honestly, I think this was the difference maker. We saw both of these teams before slightly weather, one more than others, but I think it's because of exactly this. They're now trading off shots for Storm Surge versus the rest of the lobby, and it's given them a little bit more flexibility in different cases.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Vico, though. Parades, where are you at? This is the wrong neighborhood. And Benno, Vico, Flixie, now with 3 eliminations in total,
Good shit for them.
This is much more room to work with than what they've been afforded, and especially considering that Toyota eliminated Benno very early on, but still, Vico, Flixie cover the situation, and now look what Benno's able to accomplish. A Minish clean wipeout there by Benno.
I think Benno needs to keep playing like he has a chip on his shoulder, almost something to prove. The contested drop is not going to be easy for anybody, but if you can find a way, come out and have games like this and really make them count, like we kind of saw between Tayson and Prodoxy to start the day in games 1 and 2. Just got to be able to keep that momentum up. Phaser, King, PH in, rotating around. I thought I saw, yes, I was about to say, I thought I saw somebody moving on over towards that bunker, and it is going to be our team from Brazil, King, Phaser, and PH in. That means that that play they made to rotate on over to Ranger's Ruin, not only third party and get the eliminations, but eventually take down the Queen, works out perfectly.
Да, и те имат flow переписания МК, брат.
Surprise pop-out wild card from the international scene, and I think, at least for day 1, King, Phaser, and PHN have definitely taken that position in representing what these teams from the global presence are able to provide. And this is looking like a very sound setup. They've done a great job at essentially infiltrating that Rangers Ruin third-party action. And it's caused such a dominoes effect across the map. It changes so much of how the game is played when Prodoxy, Pablo, and Chino aren't able to just conveniently take their third-party options and all those surprise pop-up performances, finding those eliminations, intercepting teams on their loop path rotates.
I like this play me out. Curly, Reed, and Cooper, they haven't had the best luck finding teams to trade shots off with the distance, and now they have to do something different, go box to box, play a little bit more aggressive. Curly's doing just that, Forced saw it out, but they trade shots. Luckily for him, his teammates are there to save the day. Curly gets the elimination. Siphon is what he needed most in that moment, and now they get the loot. You see the extra splashes and that full loadout that they're kind of able to change things in and out. And it's a confidence boost for a team that honestly, listening to them talk yesterday, they didn't think they had their game plan anymore from what they practiced coming into the Global Championship. They had to pull something up from underneath their sleeve, and, well, that's one way to do it.
Not the only magician working in this lobby. Benno, just a little bit of a heist here onto Hero. Tries to take that launch pad instead of punish for it, and Vico following up. This is exactly why you don't want to give Benno any space, because the way that they're trying to control that mountain rage now, it's forcing teams to funnel through in a way that makes it so easy for them to find those knocks and eliminations, or just surge in general.
Yeah, or at least the bare minimum, get them to waste the rotating on over into a spot where you might not be able to get much. Pickstorm, Demus, you see kind of a smooth rotation. Not too many players near them yet in the distance either, so they can focus on one thing and one thing only, getting to where they need to be. As we take a look at Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts, they started the day off with a big win. I think it was around like 101, maybe 104 points. Since then, it's been anything but perfect. But this is the real test, especially for somebody like Canada, where I was talking about how different he looked coming into this event. Now we get to see what are you truly made of.
But they're still within striking range of top 3 within day 3. They haven't had, you know, the craziest day ever after, especially after what we witnessed in game 1. We're definitely maybe looking for Canada Rapid Bolts to keep seeing how consistent they could be, but until they find a way to replicate that game 1 performance, things are going to continue to get more and more difficult as everybody starts to find a better grasp, a better idea of where they want to go to try and find any little bit of placement points to put them inside of a better position for day 1 closure.
Again, I talked about A, just going back to what has worked best coming into the Global Championship. That's kind of setting up one of those bases. You have an abundance of heals at the Demon's Debris. You just got to figure out a way to utilize them. It's like Clicks, Higgs, and Ivchou rotating south from Supernova Academy. One of those teams kind of looking off into the distance, whether if it was Savage, we saw moments there, Sod and Ryu up towards the top. They have multiple targets that they try to use early game to build that Storm Surge and kind of give flexibility for rotations just like this.
I think it was very smart, though, the way they were utilizing that natural map terrain, hugging towards that lower territory so they don't get spotted out from those teams that are in those high ground positions. They're just fully covered by those cliff faces, but looking into what our leading contenders are getting up to. Mustache, 0 shotgun damage. And my favorite part about this morning, Jacob happened to encounter Queasy, and he made it known, we're not gonna carry shotguns. We are running ARs, we are running the record revolvers. And you know what? With what they're doing, with the way that they're playing height, they're not giving anybody the luxury or the option to even try and challenge them on height. They don't have to do anything up close and personal, because if it does come down to that, they still got those record revolvers to work with, which is basically just a pistol shotgun in the first place.
How do you win back-to-back games with 0 shotgun damage? I am blown away, but that's a testament of how good they are actually playing, and the consistency is out of this world. They jump on over Kadu, Striker, and Tisco. They were so close. They had the high ground in some of our previous games, but now they need to fight out of this mess. Prodoxy, Pablo, and Chino, they're the ones on the other side. They're the ones that are putting down that pressure and not really backing down. You can see the triple weapon loadout for multiple of these players as well. They're ready to fight, and they're ready to fight big.
But Chino and Pablo, they're really looking like they're starting to find their rhythm in this lobby. They love just getting so fraggy with it. It's going to be a little bit of a hold though by Striker, Kadu, and Tisco, while Prodoxy takes this opportunity to heal back up. A little bit too pinched there, but Chino, he just keeps battering away at Kadu, Striker, and Tisco, and that knock now means a separate approach. Prodoxy on the flank, Chino and Pablo on the front side, and Striker doing what he can to try and hold things down, but the walls are just so difficult to break through. He's hoping to find some form of an edit, some kind of right side peek. Striker though, no shield. Pablo, Chino, Prodoxy, they are fully in control of this. That is until Pablo realizes it's Curly, it's Cooper, it's Reed right behind them. He doesn't have any options. They've just got to reconvene with each other.
For Reed, Cooper, and Curly, there's no time like the present, and they're really trying to make these little seconds count. Able to clean up that one elimination, the extra loot, but most importantly, the Storm Surge that they're able to get. And since they're the team on the outside of this overall battle, they have the option if they want to disengage or keep putting pressure in this scenario. Prodoxy and Chino, they have no other choice with or without that reboot card to try to get out and save what they have of this game. We kept talking about between them and Tayson off spawn, battling it out. You have to make sure if you win these games off spawn, you go as far into the end game with as many eliminations as possible.
For Prodoxy and Chino, that maneuver by Reed, Curly, and Cooper, it's like getting an eyelash stuck in your eye. Just so annoying, but what can you do? Just the nature of the game here. All the while, Clicks, Higgs, Ivcho, they've caught up now to Snowy, Sod, and Ryu, and they've got them on the ropes right now, but Ryu's still looking to fight back. All of these international teams, they have not backed down even once throughout today's matches, Jacob, and they are coming with some big firepower. But Ivcho, the future, he's got to control the present right now, though. And with Clicks and Higgs right next to him. They need to find these eliminations. All of the surge would just be so impactful.
Yeah, you can see both of these teams in a relatively tough spot, forced to crouch down if they're on the low ground. But Saad, Ryu, Snowy, they're trying to go for a lurk surprise attack. They're getting into the box in two different directions, but the third party is in, and they run out of material. Saad is in a tough spot, and it's going to continue to get tougher. Multiple players on that trio are out of material overall, and Ivcho finally dropped it down. He's bringing the sun to a snowy day.
That's exactly what they needed. This is so much room to work with now. The Ivcho clicks, they just continue to close in, and finally Ryu's gonna be eliminated.
Браво, момчета, браво! Топ 2 могат да станат. Топ 2. Фликс на Global топ 2 имажин.
For these guys to be now, can they convert it to the end game win that they've been seeking
Right now,
all day
so top
long?
5.
Yeah, and you can see just like that with those eliminations, they move up into a top 5
Мъската с
spot
52
on the
точки.
leaderboard. One more elimination away from top 4. One more elimination away from that. From a top 3 at the Global Championship. This is only game number 5 though. There's going to be 7 more games. 1 more today, 6 more tomorrow before we crown our best in the world.
И Savage не играл в 184 точки.
This could be one of them. Savage, Chap, and Reason. I was talking about Destiny. We just got to figure out if it's theirs.
And Mr. Savage, a couple of med kits to boot. Chap, Reason. They've also got the geysers just in case they need that quick stimmy of HP 30 shot. But Yuma, Rise, Koyota, a little bit of a hiccup at the starting point. Still managing to try and make it work. But Jacob, all of these teams, there's like a certain level of paranoia that starts to enter the closer and closer that everyone becomes, especially because we just know the high ground is where nobody has been able to really look towards. And yet, one more time, we're seeing a zone pull right towards Foxy Floodgate.
Queasy пръскат, така е.
Where is Queasy at? Because he's got to be close by.
If I'm any person in this lobby, but Queasy, of course, I'm saying please pull north. Get away from these mountain ranges. Get away from that dip in Foxy Floodgate. And if you're a team that's realizing what's happening in this game, a very, very similar zone towards last game, you got to start to look at your materials. Do we have enough? If not, how are we going to get it? Some would say maybe a refresh, farming where you can if you're on the slow side of zone. But sometimes things like that aren't always possible. And you can see Pixdarm and Demas in that exact situation. Even though they're 356 above the damage threshold, you're seeing the side that they have to rotate in, Taco, stacked like pancakes.
It's just so impressive to think that this is a team, this is their first land, and they're not playing anything like it. But Mr. Savage, Chap, they've now got to see if they can pull together here. Reason with the double revive, they bring him back up into the mix, but they still have such an uphill battle to tackle here because they're so far behind. And look at all these teams that are piled into the zone just in front of them. That edge is going to be tough to break into.
Yeah, and that's why you see Sphinx and them trying to be the trolls underneath the bridge, a little bit of a safer rotation. Talk about natural elements to try to use and crowd some of these shots. The 488 drastically below, almost need 3 straight eliminations. Savage is looking, but he's finding nothing but the lobby. Back they go, and a huge boost right there for Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx because they are relatively high up above, but it's the loot. You can see half of the fizz gone, half of the splash is gone, so that was a must.
I think the bigger relief, though, for Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx is that they know with Mr. Savage's team having been wiped, there's nobody behind them. So now they can push forward and just control that more uncontested area of the zone. Still need to be wary, though. Are catching glimpses of Kanata, Bolt, and Rapid in the distance. And, of course, Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache steadily starting to scale their way up towards an elevated position, but there's several other teams nearby that have the same intentions.
Yeah, if you guys see multiple teams in the distance, you got Thunderbolt striking down, that Storm Surge, even though Swizzy, Queasy, Mustache don't exactly know those teams are below it, they will hear the shields crack. King's gonna go down, but Mario is the one that's potentially stealing away those points. And maybe even though it totally gets cleaned up, Swizzy, Queasy, Mustache put the full target down on a PH in. He's just trying to get some of that loot from his fallen comrade.
Do Swizzy and Mustache ever miss?
No.
The answer's gonna be no. Okay, PH in, eliminated.
Mustache
with another one. But that's actually gonna be the first one of this lobby. They've just been collecting so many eliminations throughout today's lobbies, Jacob. It's almost crazy to think that that's their first, but Queasy could be in trouble. Does manage to break away from where Bolts, Rapid, and Kanata are at, but Kanata You
Тия
know
са
that he's
криви, брат.
scheming inside of this middle section. He wants to maybe try and set up for a free hit on their back turn, but they know there's another team directly underneath them. And it's gonna be School and South.
Oh, bolts with the max,
They're
bro.
not gonna be able to make that transition. Art still trying to press forward, but he's stuck in the corner. Art trying to fight back, but there's
Bolts
nowhere
trip
left to
and
run.
nowhere
And
track.
Bolts finds that elimination.
That is a lightning strike if I've ever seen
Yeah.
one myself. Bolts taking down all 3 players of the NA West Major 2 champions, Arc, Skull, and Salco.
И Rapid продаде за секунда обаче.
For just a quick moment, they were below the damage threshold as well. So their aggression, even though they are picking up eliminations, isn't working out as good as they hoped.
But it's still a damper for Kanata and Bolts. Bolts now losing all of his shield. Still, he'll have the opportunity to recover that, but it's the loss of Rapid that's really going to start impacting where Bolts and Kanata might end up here. Fortunately for them, Zone pulling a little bit away from those mountain faces, so as a duo they can still look to break through the low ground, but Queasy, Mustache, Swizzy, Gentlemate's going absolutely ballistic in this audience right
Again,
now.
no high ground, bro.
We're just gonna keep winning, and they've got 3 already at the international level, Jacob. A land historic event, and they're still looking to see if they can get more.
We are literally watching the Queasy legacy in the making. Levin said it himself. The last time Queasy won 3 games in a row, he went on not only to win that major, but win 6 out of 12 games. Something that has never been done on that region of EU ever before and ever again. And this could be that moment in history that you look back at when you talk about how great Queasy actually is. It is all because of this, but there's still so many threats in their path. They just have to look up. They have to try to go for high ground and stop the plate trade. Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo, they have been known to do it on NA Central. They just have to figure out how to do it here on the international stage.
And they might have to deal with Pars, Baka, and Pump along the way. Yapko, Seti, Panzer, they've also done a rather excellent job at just maintaining consistent performances, and they're looking for yet another repeat here, trying to clear some space in that secondary height, but they know if they want their odds to turn this into a victory royale, they're gonna need more than just secondary height. Pump falls 2 clicks. This is big time for Excel
High ground
because they need
кинговете.
to pop off here.
Печелят от 4-те на рол. Печелят от 4-те на рол.
To do best, but they have to be careful. Marius, Vanya, and Pixie, they're bouncing around with those crash pads, instantly climbing up that mountain, and that just means better positioning right away, and that gives them that luxury to look back, see all these other players rotate through. He's peeking through the stair. He sees Acorn, Aders, and Pollo, but it's not ready to go for it just yet, and nobody has even had an opportunity to look up. They're attached at the backside of zone. They're attached right in the middle. It's not even going to be easy when somebody eventually does.
But that's the problem. Nobody else can actually make their way up towards the high ground because Sweezy, Queasy, and Mustache refuse to budge. They just keep shutting down every single opportunity, forcing these teams to converge onto each other as Ivcho now trying to see if he can collect an elimination there, a knock, anything. He needs a massive refresh here, but it's Pixie who wants Hadi, Marius, Pixie, and Vanya now looking to see what more they can seek out.
Брат, това не е възможно.
Placement points are flying in, half of them at least at the top.
Вилно са живи.
Vico, they're in that line of path. Marius looking up for only a quick second, not really focusing on the Queasy up above. It's probably too hard. You see the materials being drained right out of their inventory.
Ликс 6 кила топ 10 в момента. Голям шанс за second place или поне third.
But the control from Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache on the high ground, Jacob, they're forcing all of these teams to swap layers to ultimate low. And with that in mind, Mustache, Queasy, Swizzy, just non-stop berating. These teams are forced. They're looking up, they're looking down, they're trying to find refreshes, but they have no breathing room. They are being suffocated right now by height.
With the conversations going on before the Global Championship, Boo probably smiling ear to ear right now with EU doing the performance that they are, but Kanata Bolts, they're trying to channel how they played in game number 1, finds a key elimination on the Reed, not just elimination points, but placements as well. Cammy falls, more points from the lobby. Swizzy's trying to drop down low, he's just getting loot, he's bringing it back up to his IGL.
And that is all Swizzy has to keep tabs on alongside Mustache. Everything
everything getting dropped at Queasy's feet.
Марио
So he
ще
can
ги
have
писнаха.
the ultimate successor, but Marius, he's in too much trouble. Marius trying to squeeze away. It's Vico, it's Veno, and Flixi chasing them down. They know that they're gonna have to clear out all of these
Flixi
players
гледа за Хая.
inside these lower layers if they
Дали
want
ще
a
се
real
пробват.
shot at beating Queasy up on height.
9 кила за тях, топ 7. Йонзо умира от Марио Скал. Феликс. Феликс взима нока, обаче той ще умре май. И ето, че битката започва. Вико на едно. Вино не е на много и той. Суизи умира обаче. Вино го уби. Куизи играе Сторм. Куизи играе Лайтс. Има 255 Лайтс. Може би ще спечели играта, ако има 15 секунди. Дали ще успее да аутхилне изобщо. Мерсташ пробва да грифне. Взима Вино. Куизи умира обаче. Мерсташ на 25 на 35. 40. No way. Куизи ако беше играл Физа Бъртле ще да спечели. Няма значение те държат първо място с толкова много точки, човек. Колко да беше пизвал Физа, нали, го пизда по 10 на секунда или? Демек нямаше да умре от Сторм би трябвало да нямаше да умре, ама ако работи така.
We're just better than them, so we just went up and killed them.
I think you might need to get a few more victory royales before you can say that. I do want to come to you, Veno, obviously up against an ex-teammate you know really well. Does that make it a bit more satisfying or even a little bit more in your head? You know each other so well.
Nah, if I can't win this tourney, I want Queasy to win.
Oh, I've never heard him say such nice things. Thank you, Veno. And of course, Choca, à toi pour Vico.
How do you feel after this first victory royal, and how will you do the second one?
Hey, I mean, I feel great, you know.
Емоционална игра.
Got a win that we wanted,
Това
you know.
беше
We're
пета
still
и
gone,
сега
though, but
следва
it's kinda
шеста.
hard. But hey, I mean, we're doing the best of it. Next round, you know, we're gonna win our spawn. We're gonna win the game again, you know. We're gonna catch up to Queasy finally and shit. So yeah.
Ils sont très déterminés à remonter dans ce classement et à continuer de monter. Ils adorent et surtout ils sont très confiants pour aller chercher une deuxième victoire.
Are you expecting to still be contested at Canyon Crossing?
I mean, we were expecting it because they were laying down Asia, but I think there's no point for them to contest because, I don't know, even if they're winning, they're not getting good games, so...
Well, we will see after this short break.
One last ride on the battle bus to score things out for day one here of the FNCS 2025 Global Championship. And Leon has been absolutely electric through all of it. Massive shout outs and love to the fans here in the crowd. But firstly, Jacob, we have to tackle the elephant in the room. It's what's been taking place between Frodoxy and Payson since we last peeked in over at Kappa Kappa Factory in the previous
at home. I was about to laugh to myself because you're talking about Frodoxy and Tayson. But what about the 50 other teams that end up over at Rangers Ruin throughout the course of the game?
Wow.
They realize how this fight goes, and typically it might be left to just one person trying to clutch up. As Frodoxy gets that first sweeper shotgun, it's going to work out perfectly. Ivcho goes down. Tayson follows next. That's back-to-back eliminations, but Chino's going to go down. That's going to give them an opportunity back. And if you notice, Frodoxy has no more ammo in his shotgun and wrist. It's trying to take advantage of that fact. He finally picks up a few, but the damage
си на 3 удара от хлебарките, брат.
Pablo and Fordoxy on the other side, or at least a duo, a strong duo at that, and they have a chance here to end the fight, and they do so with ease.
I want to believe, but when Pablo is just that healthy, the outcome is basically inevitable. Fordoxy, Chino, will play out the duration of Lobby 6, and this time it was so fast that Brazil likely won't be able to stroll on over and try to play spoiler.
There was a team that was going in that direction. They saw the fight end in the feed. They said, you know what? Maybe next game. Maybe tomorrow we'll do this.
Let me hit the other way.
Yeah, but you see what's going down here right now. They actually chose to split the drop. Toyota, Yuma, and Raisei are going to take the top side of Canyon. That comes with the swarm. That comes with a little bit of XP. But Vico, Flixie, and Veno, they're taking actual Canyons crossing. There's a little bit more loot over here for them. And they said, hey, things haven't been going our way in the actual fight. Let's actually try to play some of these games out. And even last game, they did that exact thing, and it worked out. You saw them win that game.
There's still a leaderboard that teams want to play for prizing, Jacob. Even if it might not necessarily be a threat to first, or even the top 3 in general, it's still opportunity for life-changing money, right? And Epic Whale, Paper, Victor V, they're looking to tackle Razzle, Tete, and Raito. They had primary control of Dystopia City. They have pushed
имат 9 патрона в помпата, 30 в пистолета.
Still needs to try and connect another shot here. He knows that Paper is going to have that overhead sightseeing, and Razzle, not a whole lot of materials, but Paper just trying to stay on top of this fire, just trying to see if he can apply more pressure for Victor V to capitalize on.
Yeah, my eyes initially peeked at Shining Span where Cammy lands. I saw them, but now you saw Ritual in the distance as Vox, Ping, and Malibuca. They're taking the fight on over. That's Aspect's team, and Aspect was the one that was landing towards the Kappa Kappa factory. So you're already seeing they're changing up their game plan. They're trying to steal away some loot away from Malibuca and Wox, but that's not something you want to do at all.
And Malibuca, Wox being more than happy to try and collect whatever opportunities come their way. They're willing to try and generate these occurrences themselves, and they are just chasing these teams way out to the outskirts. This is a big commitment, but if they find the eliminations, it's all worth it.
I like what they're doing here. They're just trying to trust in each other for the most part. One's going to go on over, try to see if they can find him, which it doesn't look like they do. They immediately turn back. It's not worth it in their heads to go for it as Peterbot finally makes his position known along with Ritual and Cold, and they immediately jump onto Paper. He was positioned on top of that with his building. Tagging that team down below, was not watching his back, and that's exactly what's going to do him in the end. You see Victor V looking like the only player left alive for his team. He's just trying to disengage and at least try to give him a chance to get back on up.
But it's the fact that Victor V is still left standing. Bit tragic. The Paper Epic Whale, they just never saw it coming. The Crash Pad Fizz combination a little bit too potent here, and Paper punished for that overhead position and not keeping tabs of what's flying through the sky after him.
Honestly, depending on where the zone goes, is going to help their chances or hurt them for Victor V, trying to get his entire team back into the game. We kind of saw more and more teams throughout the day kind of move over into this position, and that's going to remain the same. One all the way towards the north. Tisco and his trio, literally inside of Ranger's Ruin as well, but they're positioned above. And then Fordoxy.
Те смоките пак по 6 кила, бе, брат. Кой убиват?
And he's at least trying to shoot off shots in their direction with that Stinger SMG, so he knows it's not going to get a ton of damage, but anything is better than nothing.
And Fordoxy, Pablo, and Gino have just been playing whack-a-mole all day long. It's like the moment they take out one team, they still got to deal with another one popping up from seemingly nowhere. And Pablo still working through the lobby. Brise and Toyota going to be victims at the other end of that shotgun barrel, but Yuma still trying to do what he can to pick up the pieces here. It was a nice knock onto Gino. Unfortunately, the 1 versus 2 situation, that's just so hard to convert into a victory there. So they're going to be put down temporarily, but things are getting messy here in the south side.
Yeah, this is not where I expect Veno and Vico and Flixie to kind of end up, going all the way towards the south side of the map. That's given Alex and On and Resigns an opportunity to get the early surge, steal away some of this loot. And you can see what Veno, he has really no other choice. He knows the full team is all around, and a third party closed off into the distance. Even with 69 HP, he does have some extra shields, but he doesn't want to give away his position with those audio visuals. Alex finally found him out, and the full team is wiped off from Victory Royale to 30th place.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter where Veno tries to go after that. Alex resigns and Anon. We're never going to let them leave this vicinity. It's just way too primed up of a chance, and they're not going to come by often, but still, Alex resigns. Got to keep open eyes on the map because Mixon and Focus, they might just have a chance to shut down everything that Alex just worked to accomplish. But Alex spots him out through the window, and Alex not going to be able to get that shot just yet, but still, the damage has been done. Focus, Mixon, they're bailing.
Yeah, and they're only a duo. That's basically giving away your position for Alex and Anon Resign to make that decision. Do we fight it? Do we beat him on towards the mountain priority position? What's more important here? And I honestly like their decision to close out the day, play a little bit more aggressive, try to get more points, and already they get the knock onto Focus. Now they're in a 3v1 situation, and they already spot and mix it on the other side. He tries to go for the 1v1, the 50-50, and it's so quick. Alex, Resign, and Anon, they get their 4th elimination of the game.
And look, the leaderboard might be telling one story, but the real narrative is that Oshi's got some real fighting power with Alex, Resigns, and Anon. And it's unfortunate that they just haven't had anybody to really get their surge in, so it's just been so difficult for them to actually traverse every single one of their rotates, if they even make it off of their initial drop in the first place. But it's been a completely different story, as we all know, for Swizzy, Queasy, and Murstache. They have been titans of this lobby, and even with Murstache being knocked, no problem whatsoever, because they're not going to be keyed anytime soon. It's just not worth the effort from the team that they're trading blows with. No, it's way too dangerous to actually make that trek.
And it's almost kind of like having me ask myself the question in my head for Vortex, Goofy, and Mountain. When do you stop targeting Queasy and his entire trio on the other side? Because even though that's helping them get some Storm Surge, it's helping Queasy, Murstache, and Swizzy a lot more, and they're bringing it much further on into the game. In the feed, Arc taking down one of the members of OCE Power's team, Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold. Because of their early aggression, they're able to get the Queen out of Dystopia City and immediately make their way on over towards that vault, where they're not only able to have that mythic AR, but they have the exotic as well.
And while we are seeing some mild forms of success currently for Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold, the big thing to keep in mind here, Jacob, is that for a lot of these international teams and just other teams in the lobby in general, it can be very difficult to really find an opening. And you know, you're talking about Goofy and Mountain and what they're capable of, and is this even worth taking the battle? But if they're in a pick your poison situation, they're so far northwest, their only options are Muzz, Mr. Savage, or Queasy. And they just keep landing on Queasy every time, while King and Phaser try to recover this battle up against Chino, Pablo, and Prodoxy.
Ooh, almost landed that good shot, but King, honestly, watching him throughout the season, when it comes to this double pump, it packs so much of a punch.
King и двамата ги оставя на едно, брат,
HP, but unfortunately, the bait and switch comes through yet again. Pablo, knowing his teammates are weak, takes charge, gets that elimination onto King, leaving Phaser by himself. But it's so early on in the game, Taco. 3rd zone, 1 tick. Even though he has only 1 med kit, I'm not too worried because they're going to have to rotate out of that position.
Look, we know that King is good at fighting, but in this lobby right now, Pablo has just been better with everyone that he stumbled across, and that kind of performance can carry them a long way. It's starting to feel a little reminiscent, Jacob, of that early performance that they had start this day off. 85 points secured in 1 lobby. And who's to say they couldn't do it again?
Yep, you can see Zeddy, Epto, and Panda have taken the most storm damage of all teams. With the way some of these games have been going, not too surprised. Zone moving towards the north in a couple of games, all the way towards the west. They land at Kappa Kappa. They have a contested fight, and then so many other teams along the way, they almost have no other choice, especially since this has been a huge part of their strategy when it comes to these surge bases, and they have that abundance of extra HP, so it's no worries.
But the conversation that's been building between the SETI-Cammy breakup, and we're looking at both of these separate trios having so much consistent success that they are both within our top 5 here in day 1. There's a real chance for SETI and Cammy to try and see, you know, who is really the problem. And right now, based off their performances, Jacob, I don't think either of them were. I think they were both just ready for a switch up.
I know when we talk about like some teams just forming, you know how they sometimes hit that honeymoon phase. What a perfect time for them to hit that phase and keep that consistency going, coming together, qualifying in Major 3. And really taking that opportunity, just that chance to play at the Global Championship and running away with it. Same with Vanya, Marius, and Pixie. They get their drop spot uncontested. And honestly, whether it's contested or not, we saw Cold and his trio try to go ahead and make that their home, but that was quick work for them off that 50-50 drop off the side of the mountain, where you're seeing a lot of our top teams here, how they're rotating with the zone pulling towards the south. A lot of them are beating other teams to the punch. They're not taking that crowded position in towards the zone.
But this is really nice for Clix, Higgs, and Ivcho as they continue to press forward because they're approaching that mountain range overhead of Foxy Floodgates. They're coming from that north side position, pushing south. They're going to have that little bit of elevation to work with, and we've even got a nice little listening to see what Clix is getting up to.
Yeah, they're in streaming.
Yeah, look at them.
They should shoot.
3, 2, 1. 30. Go. Let's go. Let's clash, please.
No. We full greet them.
I like it. They got the damage. And Higgs, for a moment, was like, hey, let's go. Let's pick up the elimination. Let's go and go for more. But they realize they're at the top side of the leaderboard. They don't have to take any unnecessary risk to close out the day. This is game 6 out of 12. So we got 6 more games tomorrow. And so honestly, for a lot of these teams, you just want to get as close to Queasy, Mustache, and Swizzy as possible so we have a chance tomorrow.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache, Jacob, because while they're here tackling Brazil, PH, Zen, Phaser already knocked. That's going to be the eliminations there. Excuse me, that's going to be King instead. Jacob, so much damage having been done there. And Queasy now on the back foot. He's actually going to have to depend on Mustache and Swizzy to close this one out. They've now entered this battlefield, and for Doxy, he doesn't seem interested in leaving anytime soon.
This is a blessing. This is a blessing for the entirety of the lobby, not just for Doxy, Pablo, and Chino here in this situation. You take them down.
Queasy един път не направиха това, което правят всяка игра и заради това умряха.
First place, second place for Queasy and them at the top of the leaderboard. You cannot expect them to go down early. Sometimes you have to do things yourself. Phaser might not even know that there's a whole trio up above, but he might not have the HP. Storm Sickness is a possibility. He might have no other choice but to move into this trio.
It's just witnessing what Fradoxy, Pablo, and Chino are able to accomplish when they finally have an opportunity to make it off spawn, Jacob. They've had to deal with so much action throughout every single one of these lobbies here today, and yet they are still managing to manifest these opportunities for themselves.
You can see they're even so close to Pix, Darm, and Demus, who are playing out of their minds, not just here, but all year long. And you can see the zone moving over towards Demons Debris, them and a bunch of other teams. They're kind of setting up. They're not necessarily going for high ground. They feel like they have enough surge to make that not necessarily a worry, but they're just trying to go over towards those mountains just in case we get one of those max pulls towards the west, which I do like thinking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, even though it's relatively early. The fourth zone, you sometimes,
Guys, работя дабл кон.
you want to prioritize your
И заради това е топ 30 и кой е? Просто unlock-че дабл кон. Така работи играта. RNG. Късмет. Unlock-че дабл кон.
They're trying to see what they can do up against the likes of Disco and Kadu, but Striker might just be looking to try and hold them down, but Reason, nice chunk of HP there. It's going to go missing from Kadu. Reason now on the ropes, so he's not going to be able to break away. Mr. Savage trying to provide coverage fire. Right side peek, a little bit in his favor, but Kadu still relatively healthy in comparison to Savage.
He does have 6 different crash pads. He does have the Flowberry Fizz. But does he have the reboot cards, and does he have a chance to get them? For Tisco and Kadu, they're in a very, very similar spot, but not as drastic. Only Striker is down. So So they are going to be a duo in this situation, not too far away from the overall
Но
zone.
то не
So
може
they
да
too,
ти е ден.
if they have that reboot card, they can immediately move
Просто е
on over
дабл комп.
towards Rangers
Кой
Ruin
да
to
ти е
try to get
най-добрият
that
ден?
reboot back, and that's exactly what they want
Ти
to
трябва
do.
всеки път да ги
Savage has
убиеш,
no other choice but go the
да
other
взимаш
direction
6 кила
towards
спам.
Beispiele
Това не е
Which
възможно.
is good because now he has a chance for the reboot, but he's moving closer and closer to other teams while being almost 300 damage below the threshold.
But that's the problem. He's
И
so
който си мисли, че
low
да работи
on
с
his
Fortnite, че е
surge
много делюзно,
damage.
брат.
And even with a successful reboot, hold that thought though, Pollo finally seeming to get a nice elimination here onto Kazi, and that kicking open the doorway. They need some kind of catalyst because they've had a very scrambly day so far.
Second time's the charm. Second time is the charm, but they're deep in the zone. Not a lot of heals. Phaser and King are both relatively low. You gotta hope they have something, but they have nothing. Phaser's gonna be the first one to drop. He hits in, realize I cannot be the hero. I have to go. He has no heals either. Even though this is a one tick, he has about 50 seconds on the clock to either find elimination or find any sort of heals, bandages, anything.
Oh man, Merstash, does he realize what's behind him? But PA's in. If he gets the jump onto Merstash, that could be very problematic still. Merstash at least has Swizzy and Queasy. And a good replenish, but Merstash knows it's cooked from this point. He can't press forward any longer. Maybe there's a reboot later.
Got the down onto Merstash. I don't even know how he was the last one to do damage. PHN did not know where Merstash was, and even if he did, he wouldn't have gotten the sight of it, but he had heals. Merstash being down, that leaves Queasy and Swizzy with a decision. Do we go back in the zone? Do we get our teammate back up because no man left behind, or do we continue on as a duo?
Right now, all I'm thinking about is what Prodoxy, Pablo, and Gino
Тогава
are
защо
getting
пада
up to,
там,
Jacob,
а не
because
кол на
they're
друга
really starting to
локация?
make a tear into this lobby.
Защото не работят така нещата.
Slight pause here. They pick up Striker, bring him back into the mix. Not a whole lot of resources available for some of these teams, though, that are just hugging the outskirts right now. It's been so many hiccups across the way. But Clixie, Ivcho, and Higgs, they've still managed to find their footing on the side of the mountain face at Canyon Crossing.
Yeah, now they're positioned right next to Canada. That's the knock they got earlier, where they were able to kind of accumulate a good amount of surge. Now they look towards the bottom side of that mountain. Balor, Mantor, and Adapter are the ones that are taking a lot of that focus, and they're inching closer and closer to Gabzera, Scarpa, and Way as well. Canada knows and sees all the same things along with Rapid and Bolts, if he is still there. And they're all kind of targeting off the side of the mountain, just trying to take advantage of every team that's a little bit too slow to rotate.
Живи са Питър Болт, да.
To go for some of these half-wall edits, the window edits. You peek too long, you might find yourself getting picked off along the way. But right now, Marius, Pixie, Vanya, all they're focusing on is how to find the best success in this last lobby. Doesn't matter how you start, what matters is how you finish, and that goes for day one here at the Global Championship.
That stat was crazy. Even though they're at the top of the leaderboard, they've taken more damage than they've dealt. But that just goes to show, like, how risky they're willing to play in order to get those eliminations, in order to be able to stay alive and build up that storm surge. As I see Arc taking out Alex, Anon's gonna get taken down by School. Not sure if OCE is still alive, but NA West trying to bring themselves back into this. And just by the looks of it, zone pulling so far away, Queasy, Swizzy, they realize there's no chance to get Merstash back into the game, so we have to make our numbers count.
But without Merstash, Queasy recognizes, hey, I'm gonna have to shift into gear and bring to light what kind of fragging capability I might actually be able to unleash, because some of these other teams that are just doing everything in their power to try and play catch up, you can never discredit what they might be able to accomplish. For Doxy, Gino, Pablo lurking at the very bottom of it all. They've got so much surge already. They can play fully for positioning, but Cold, Ritual, Peterbot, they are looking rough right now. They still have a good chunk of resources to actually bring their AP back up, but they're still just in such a tight position, and no one is even backing down. All day long, teams have been openly embracing the fight with Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual.
Yeah, drop spot aside, this is a game with the loot and the loadout that he has. You really have to make it count. Teddy Ivcho and Panzer, 678 above the damage threshold. They may not know Resigns is getting ticked by Storm Surge, but if they were close by, they could probably hear the shields crack as Victor V is close by as well. I did see a couple of his teammates go down in the feed. I don't know if he's entirely a solo, but hey, it's Vic. Oh, well, no, that wasn't my fault, Taco. That wasn't my fault.
Okay, Ozzy.
That was Ozzy. He's doing a watch party upstairs. It's definitely Ozzy's fault.
For Doxy, though, on the other end, he's actually got a glimpse of Queasy up in the skies. Queasy having been spotted out, he knows this is trouble. We've got to start maybe working our way down. This is not the spot to be, but Gino, Pablo, for Doxy, they don't care. They're looking to fully collapse. They see that Queasy is weakened, and they've actually completely overthrown the ultimate high ground position. But the fact that Queasy and Swizzy are still alive, Jacob, it's still the potential for placement points to keep building.
Yeah, this is almost looking like a full circle moment, because remember, it was Fordoxy, Pablo, and Gino the ones that even took down Mustache in the first place and put him in such a rough spot overall, and they really haven't been able to recover from it since. Take a look at some of the action going down around the lobby. Kanada just taking matters into his own hands. The first knock, that was easy. The second one somehow was easier, and now Kanada's looking to pressure that third elimination. And that's something big for them, because you can see he's all by himself, still taking pressure, still taking damage from all directions, and quickly running out of builds.
But if it resembles a shotgun, Ganada can still max it out, and that's all he's looking for. A couple of Flowberry Fizzes still left at his disposal. Seti, rather weakened, but his trio mates still way too healthy. Panzer and Yapko can just overtake that part responsibility here. Panzer now holding down the walls. Hoyo, Agers, Acorn directly underneath. The elevation shifts can be brutal, but for Gino, Pablo, and Fordoxy, all above it all, they have no issues whatsoever, which is suppressing these lower teams.
This is our time right here to move up that leaderboard and hopefully maybe even get into the top 5, especially being contested by not only Tayson, but as that fight ends, so many other teams moving over in that direction as well. Marius, Pixie, and Vanya, this is one of the teams that they have to potentially go through as well. As you're seeing, Vanya get another elimination onto Mountain. That's their second one overall. 254 above the damage threshold. They're not focusing on taking any fights that they don't have to. Yamzo clicks, they both fall. Storm Surge is a huge thing that's taking them all out as the full trio's back to the lobby. Now Acorn's pressuring in.
Маруската, братко мой. Братко мой, Маруската, бей, пою, брат.
Agers did such an excellent job at just pushing them fully back. That is a huge come up here as Agers now forced to try and see if he can bring it together. But Marius, he's just not slowing down anytime soon. Just continuing to barrel his way forward inside of the mid-ground layers. Fordoxy, Pablo, Gino,
ако уйнат, ще е много добре за тях. Има 10 кила already.
And they even reinforced it on their way on over, patiently waiting for the zone to pull. It's going to work out in their favor for the most part. And you see Pablo right now, he's the one building their top on over because he has the double pump. Letting his teammates put pressure down from above is a huge part of their game plan. As they're 257 above, Swizzy, he has taken down Peterbot, their third elimination of the game, and they're cruising inside of the top 12. This is what I'm talking about. You cannot expect this team to just go down without a fight.
It's the boost of materials that they have to work with too. Yapko recognizing directly overhead. He doesn't have an opportunity here. Wixie on the other end of his wall. Yapko going to be forced to layer swap here. He is dropping to ultimate low, but he has hardly anything left to work with here, Jacob. Backside of zone. Anyone, it might just be Ping who comes up upon Yapko, but instead it's going to be Marius, Pixie, Vanya. Now looking to play spoiler to these teams in the mid-ground. Marius just continue to tear away at everybody's HP.
You have that double pump and he's putting it to use. Arm is down in the outside of the zone. Marius is going to clean that one up. Couple more points. Push them further and further closer to Queasy, who's still alive, by the way. Yapko is solo. He's just trying to get the most out of this as possible. Only 5 on the med miss. No extra builds. Scrambling around, trying to catch somebody off guard, but it's he who falls to Pixie.
Swizzy още живеят, брат. Това е huge.
Now working through ultimate low. This is a night and day difference for loadouts, but Swizzy still trying to bring it all together. He only has 5 builds, but he has to take a chance.
Mana е Queasy crazy, брат.
Picks it up where he left off. Eliminations onto Tisco now means that Queasy has some material to work with, and Marius, he's
Марио Скал и те са крейзи, човек. Убиват всеки. Фридокси дали ще го уинат обаче. Уизи 521 точка. Фридокси умира от Марио Скал. Ваняк е на едно. 3 тима има още даже. 2 в 1 в 1 maybe или 2 в 1. Да, 2 в 1 в 1. Вау. 19-3 win ли беше това? О мага.
Be the ultimate difference maker, starting things off in day 2. First and foremost, though, we gotta see what they have to say.
Frodoxy, stand up for me, please. Cast your minds back to game 1, where you were quite frankly destroyed off spawn by Tayson. But after that, you managed to turn it around. So many reboots, and finally, the victory royale. How does that feel?
I mean, after 4-2 off spawn and getting third quite every game, it feels nice to finally get to play another game out.
And for you, in those final moments as well, is the communication in a busy venue like this on LAN coming naturally? What's it like?
I mean, repeat the question, please?
I'm just asking how the comms are going.
Yeah, we can't. Oh, I mean, yeah, the MA fans are nice to have here. It's a good, it's just good vibes, yeah.
Good vibes, good vibes. Choka.
C'est une très bonne vibe, il vient de dire. Vous mettez une très bonne ambiance, le public. Merci beaucoup. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When you manage to have a lot of more victory royale, how will you do it?
Can you say it again?
How will you have more victory royale?
For us, it just depends all on the off spawn. If we win off spawn, we're gonna get a good game no matter what, basically.
S'ils gagnent tous ces contests, eh bien, ils vont tout gagner.
Gino, you've had some hero plays today. What is driving you and the team right now after some difficult starts?
I don't know, after this year in EU of my trio, I just feel like we're the best duo here and nothing can stop us.
So tomorrow, more victory royales to prove your domination.
For sure, for sure.
Well, congratulations, guys. One more time, Leon, please. Pablo, Gino, and Frodoxy! Let's head back to the desk.
521 точки, брат, лезе куизи. Ваняк взимат second place. В момента си са трети, Пикс. Дарам Демос топ 4, Rapid канала, Болтс топ 5. Чино Павлов Редокси 6, брат. Имажина, ако тия две игри няма холспан, може и даже и втори да са. Виковино Фликси топ 7, Ликса 8, Айдоп 9, Джърс 10, Чап, Мистер Севче Ризан 11, Крис Тейсън Чичо 14, Търботса 24 right now, 12-17 кила. Утре ще видим. Като цяло топ 10 в момента е 195. Ще има шанс за топ 10, ако направят добри игри, да. Топ 5 е 267. Ако 6 игри са им като куизи и second place могат да вземат, ама малко трудно. Просто намъка, че са дабл кон. Олси и тимовете са последни. Койота 30. Мисля, че ще малко по-напред от тим. Та хората, това беше самото клипче. Надявам се ви харесало и не забравяйте Ивчо в Item Shop. Чао, чао!